are. Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yep. So I've dusted off my tactiles and stuff. So I'm going to use them.
Oh yeah, they're perfect for travel.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I'm going to get new dry erase markers, and I'm going to get new little tokens that I can write on using my dry erase markers too.
That's perfect.
Yep. So I used to have a set, but some of them have disappeared and stuff. So I'm going to get new ones.
I requested a double table at a page because I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a full BattleTech game, just like I have an 8-foot by 8-foot table at home. Yeah, on Saturday. That's a goal at least.
Yep, I'm going to set up a game for there too, and I'm going to run session 0 and maybe another session before the convention. Online before the convention. Yeah, so that way we can kind of be up and running a little bit, and we can be introduced into the scenario stuff. So that way, and I plan to run a 6-hour scenario at 6-hour game.
Nice.
At game mode. Yeah. So that way we can sit down and of course we will take breaks. So it will be, I guess, effectively like 5 hours or something. But at least with some online session 0 and the one getting into it, so then we can be in the heat of things when we get to the convention, and we can be up and running, so to speak, have our characters ready and all that.
Perfect.
I'm going to test that out.
Okay. All right, we're good here.
Yep.
Just checking everything, making sure we're good.
Yep. I'm also I'm looking into using a second webcam and put that on top of my tactiles when I'm running online, because then I can just draw on them and show tokens on here on my table, so to speak. So I'm going to test that out and see if it works.
I mean, that's what we kind of do with Tim's remote.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of using a VTT, I'm going to use a real tabletop here.
Yeah.
Like you, but without miniatures, just
right. Yeah, and Tim will do that sometimes with maps he has on his table at his house when he's DMing. So
so I'm thinking, because that way I can run the game just like I used to, but online, so to speak, until I find or probably create my own VTT that works for me.
Because there's not anything out there that's 100% perfect for
exactly. They all seem to focus on the wrong thing for me, and not completely, but somewhat, so to speak. They have so much fiddly things with maps and stuff, and I want I can show them the big thing, but then I want to be able to when I want a sketch of a house, I just want to draw it. It's so super simple.
Right.
And just put some tokens there. That way I have maximum flexibility. And I worked some of my house rules too, so they're taking shape more and more here.
Yeah, and that's it's a lot.
Oh yeah, it's a lot, because I probably house ruled 5e as much as you house ruled 1e2. Yeah. We focused on different things, but I think we basically rewrote at least half the game, both of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not. It's like mine is like.
You've done all the classes and you kind of tweaked a lot of stuff like that. I've gone a little bit more into tweaking. I've skipped the classes, so I've tweaked more the basics of the game in some sense.
Yeah, which is
I've
cool.
redone. Yeah, instead of making 30 new cool classes, I've made one new system of gaming the skills and stuff. So yeah.
Hey Dave. It's only for a shout out, Dave. I'll get you in a bit here. Wait till more people come on. So tonight is going to be, I think it'll be a fun discussion.
Yeah.
Thieves.
Yeah. Hello, Dave. Yeah, I need to get to you, Dave, because I want to be in one of your games soon. Yeah.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
Give him a shot. Yeah, of course. As long as you guys can hear me, that's it. What's up, Will?
Hello.
Will, did you do thief archetypes? I don't remember. I imagine you did. Or rogue archetypes?
I don't think he has gotten to those yet,
No.
if I remember. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So many cool things. Monks at the moment. Yep.
All right,
back in 2001 when we first began
you
working with
can watch Steve talk, not talk again, Anna. So.
Oh yeah, I've seen him talk now without hearing him for like 20 times.
Encyclopedic set of books for role players, writers, game designers, the whole lot of us that we could use in making our games, creating our adventures.
My webcam fell down the other day, so now I need to
whatever it may be.
Put it back
and
in place again.
there was really no end to what he
I thought I did a shout out for Cannibal Publishing on my stream.
There we go.
I can't find it.
Living Fantasy, 7 volumes in total. We had another 3.
It looks very serious when he talks here, so
yeah.
Doesn't he?
Yep.
So the series was really
sitting in the warehouse with all the stuff.
These back. That's what this Kickstarter is. We've got 7 books online ready to be printed. We've got another 3 right after that we want to get it minimally out as we were working on them at the time. Those will be out definitely in PDF, depending on how well the Kickstarter does, and maybe even more than that.
Okay, well, yeah, you haven't.
Beyond
it's good you keep
keep
it.
And all that mess.
You will get to them eventually. When we got to all the other cool stuff.
Please give us your support. Share it around if you can.
I understand that, Will. You know, people like
whatever you can do for us
to go to the hardcore combat classes and all that, and you know, rogues can be nuanced. Second part, so
Trollord Games, join the fray.
It's their ad. It's not me. It's the ad itself. Yeah, mixed all together. Join the fray. I haven't seen Chuck all weekend. Hopefully he's all right.
Yeah.
But I talked to him Friday morning for like 30 seconds. That was the last time I talked to him. Well. All right, let's see here. Shout-outs work. I'm like, what could, you know, if you don't check 20 different things, usually one of those doesn't work for some reason, so. My Stream Deck wasn't picking up my switching scenes on my XSplit. And I was like, what the hell? So I just like did hey, let's do an uninstall and a reinstall, and then it worked. You know, it's just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like every time an update happens on anything.
It's computers. Yeah.
Anytime there's a damn update, it like crashes. It messes everything up. All right, so that's in here. Let me hit this button here. All right, so Classic D&D reprints. Everyone has won something since Thursday. It's all packed up. It's going all out tomorrow. So I gave away on the BattleTech game yesterday and an original copy of an adventure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Royalty Rogues. I got it really cheap at one of my favorite gaming stores of all time down in Delaware. I got it for $10. Yeah. I already had 2 copies of it. I'm like, oh, why not give it away?
Yeah. Is BattleTech, have that reached like collector's prices?
Oh, for the old stuff? Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
There's stuff that's $300 to $500. Like if you go to get the original Comstar guide, oh my God, yeah, it's like in pristine condition, it's $500.
So they're connoisseurs of BattleTech.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the miniatures, especially the unseen ones that they legally didn't have the Robotech license. They made them.
Oh, okay. So it's like third party made.
They made stuff that they didn't have a license to, and then they got sued. Yeah. And they had to stop making them. They're called unseen mechs. I probably had.
Oh, so then they became even more popular.
I had like 50 of them.
Wow.
Oh yeah, metal. Probably it's probably like if you say each are worth $100, that's that's $5,000 right there. Minis.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. All right, tonight everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome all. It's awesome Patreon content stuff. In fact, there it is. All right, I had that shout out done. It's like, oh my gosh, I probably have 150 shout outs on here. just gotta remember where they all are. So. Yeah, Sam, you gotta keep something. Of course. Tim may be on. So. Oh, look at that. Rubbler himself again on. Thieves tonight. Jeremy, what's up? Look at that. The real Rubbler with a 1 month subscriber. Isn't that amazing? Oh, hey, Dwayne. Good to see you. Thanks. It's good to see everyone. I'll come on a little early here. That's if I hit the right button, Anna.
Yeah, I had to use your wrong button in Friday.
Wrong buttons all day long, right? So
yep.
I have had so many wrong buttons lately. Yeah, because just stuff doesn't work. And hey, what's up, Fraley? It's good to see you too, and Doc. Yes, I will include sessions. It says guilds, classes, and enhancements. So yes, we're gonna include them. Absolutely, we're gonna include some of the baddies here, and just paring down the Gen Con event list and play. Oh, cool! You and Tony going to Gen Con? I'm assuming they're gonna have multiple days there. That's awesome. That's really cool. Just no Gen Con for me. I said the next con I may go to, if Chuck is ever around and gives me details, is Troller Con. You know, and if that somehow doesn't get planned, then I may go to ReaperCon.
Oh, aren't you going to? I thought ReaperCon was a given for you.
Well, no, because they're 2 weeks apart. Yes, so refresh your screen. Yeah, Rob, refresh your screen, Mr. Kuntz. Refresh your screen. We are live. So, all right, I get to brag, Anna.
Yeah.
I get to brag, everyone, and I'll brag multiple times. I get to today. Who would have thought I'd ever do this? But wait a minute, I was on the wrong button. So, hey, look, hey, we're gonna talk. We're gonna go and we're gonna talk about stuff in the Free Steel Graph box set.
Again.
Hey, we're gonna talk about stuff in my own publication. So, yes. So there you go. So it's awesome. I never thought I'd get there. And also, we got some other ones too.
Yep.
You know, but
hello, Rob.
Yeah, welcome. Rob's good to see you.
Yep.
So as people are rolling in here, good evening, everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Lankmore, Lando, I don't know if I'm going to talk Lankmore at all, or Thieves Guild, because I don't use it, right? So it's not on a Gabbin. It's more of stuff I use in my campaign.
We mentioned it last week when we talked about going a little bit west, or like this Legend lore. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight we're going to talk, and this came up, you know, because this 4 streams a week thing's killing me. So I playing BattleTech yesterday morning. And I'm like, I don't have a topic for Saturday night yet, right? And Patrick goes, I'd love to hear more about thieves and guilds and stuff. And I was like, okay. So, yeah, dude, Dave, I can't. I laid around, you know, a lot here today. I just chilled out. Yeah, I needed to chill out. And I was going to do a second short. I only did the Altamira short. I was going to do a short on Thieves. I'll probably do it maybe if I get a chance. I get home from work early tomorrow. Yeah, I know. So, originally, going way back, and when Thieves were a class, right?
They weren't a class originally in the very old.
Yeah, that's true.
They were not.
We didn't have.
So, yeah,
it's Daryl Wagner,
really
right? Daryl
yeah.
Wagner created the Rogue. I think
I forgot which was. Yeah, I forgot, but it was added in one of the books that came after the original D&D box. Yeah,
that's true. That's very true. But for me, I start with Holmes Basic, so it's in there. But halflings are fighters. Halflings are class back then.
Exactly. All the races were classes back then. So yeah. So elves were like some fighter wizard thief kind of thing and stuff. So they all had a little bit of each, so to speak. And
So
then when we go into first edition, then you had the classic thief that
right,
then named was it second edition or third edition? They changed to rogue. Third edition, I think.
a third.
Third edition, I'm sure they had, but yeah, second I forgot.
So in second edition, there is a really, and we'll get to it, a really great enhancement. Because remember, the subtopic on Thieves was guilds, classes, and enhancements, and we can talk about other stuff. Hey, my morph. It was it was a cool, really neat change that they made to Thieves that we use to this day in mine. But and we'll go into that in a little bit. But so when you get after Holmes, you get in the first edition. And we didn't have the only straight class thieves we ever really had. There were some exceptions. Hey, Troy. So everyone here, if you don't have it and you want to know, from when we talk about my Altamira preview book, there it's on that page from Troy's Cannibal Publishing, along with 2 other downloads, Qualish and the Ocean's Bounty for download. There you can download all 3 of them off that site if you so choose, but you can get my Altamira preview there as well as we're talking about it. Okay, so it was always halflings that were straight class thieves, right? That was in the early days. If you were playing an elf, you're not playing a straight class thief. You may be playing a fighter mage thief. That was a very popular triple class back in the
Yeah.
day in first
But
edition.
wasn't also thief is one of the best classes to multi-class with. You have a very easy XP
Yeah.
table, and it's also a good combination because you don't sacrifice spell ability and stuff like that. So it's something that you can kind of you get a lot for a few XP, so to speak.
No, you're dead on correct on that. And so, whereas you have Imri's a ranger mage, which takes forever to go up.
Oh yeah,
A cleric thief, or when Unearthed Arcana came out, a druid thief goes up super quick, right? And that's a lot of people go druid thief. Wow, that's a weird combination. Well, once you got into the Unearthed Arcana era, it goes. It was that's super fast. All right, Rob, try to lower the resolution. Lower. If other people want to give Mr. Kuntz some hints on, it sounds like he is having connection issues, but yeah. So when we started. And we have some thieves from that original generation. I mean, and they're the highest level in the game. So we have 2 thieves. One is 18th level halfling, and there's a 17th level halfling thief. They're the 2 highest level characters brought up from first level in my campaign. That's the cream of the crop. That doesn't count NPCs, whatever. I'm talking about player characters. That's as high as we've gotten in 44 years up because, they go up so fast even at the higher levels. But that doesn't mean that, thieves are something that, you should take lightly in the game because a very well played thief. Gotcha, Michael. At the end, a very well played thief is, especially with some of the rule changes that I've instituted, is a really really cool. Can be devastating. So that should work. That should work for you. Hey, Baker. So ask questions in chat as we go along. We're just going to bounce around all over the place. It's like where to start. So let's just start here. And then, Anna, I want you to supplement this discussion with Gord's discussion on this. Because if you want to go, the place you want to start with anything is Greyhawk City itself, right?
Yeah.
Right here, Greyhawk Adventures. And this, when this came out, and this was done in excellent, Rob, and I hope you can hear us because that would be awesome to get some of your input here. What's up, Greg? Greg, I got your thing packed. You're good to go.
Hello.
Go out.
Yeah.
So Celtic Boar won. Both Johnsons won. Greg and Chris with different spellings of their last names over the weekend. So yep, got it. It's all the these are out of combat class to these are an out of combat class that contributes to combat. True, but they're with a little tweak here and there, they become even more useful I'm going to show you what I did, and I'll show you what our friend Leonard Lakofka did that really made them, I think, really useful. So,
These are some of the most tweaked classes in
yes.
in old D&D or
Yep.
first edition AD&D and second edition. They but I think it's simply for a couple of reasons. It's a class that has a bigger span than almost any other class because it dips into skills, it dips into to fighting abilities and combat, and it also dips into magic with that scroll reading
Oh,
ability
yeah.
and stuff. So it's a class that goes spans across almost everything.
So, I'll say this, Baker, on Assassins. Know your balance in your game. Right, if you're going to allow them, know
Yeah.
that there's going to be
Mhm.
a case by case basis where it could really
Yeah.
skew your game. But just note that there's ways to balance that too. It's very simple.
Yeah.
That we
And
can
the
take care of.
idea about one shot, we'll get to sneak attacks a little bit later because they need a little part of
Well, you're talking about
because that's
three and 5e sneak attacks.
exactly
That's because yeah.
that's what we're going to say. We need to talk about that because that's something that evolved and changed and stuff over the editions. So we need to have a little bit of a discussion about that itself.
Yeah, sneak attacking
Yep.
with a bow, it just still is boggles my mind. But we'll talk. You're right. We'll talk
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah, because it has a lot of special stuff in itself. So we
Yep.
need to spend 10 minutes or something on that separately.
So, Baker, I'm going to say you want to enhance that with another class or two beyond the assassin, and we can talk about that. So, we all know that there was a war between the Thieves Guild and the Beggars Guild in the Gord novels. And also, it is mentioned, and I think I discussed this when we did our tour. That was not that long ago. There's the Rennie. I don't want to go there. Right here, and so it says right at the beginning of this, right? So, and this is where I was like, wow, they pulled something right out of a Gordon novel into this because they probably knew about it. When Beggar
Hmm.
Theobald, King of Junk, precipitated a war between the Thieves Guild and Beggars Union some 15 years back. So, note when this thing's purchased, you're going back in time into the 560s. Because if you're assuming 570, what, one on this, you're looking at 555, 556, right? Is that in the Gord timeline?
Yeah, I
So,
think it's just before it's before 76, so there's some years. And listen to Zavoda's
yes.
Jason Zavoda. He's reading through because he has a whole little discussion on when it happened, and there's probably a blog post, but I forgot exactly. But it's a few years before the box set, the set in the folio and the box set was set in describe the situation in 576, and the Beggars War and all that from Gord are a few years earlier. I forgot how many, but there's some years earlier than that. But there are some details that don't really match perfectly. But roughly. So yeah.
Rob, I know that drives me crazy, and so much to a rule change where I allow if it's an unwilling participant with a telekinesis, they can make a saving throw versus spells. That's how I eliminate that. Uh, it was too much, man. It's like ringing around. Even if you want to do a negative on the saving throw, like -4 or whatever, I'm okay with. But yeah, if you bring in a demon and a demon starts just throwing people, like uh,
That's old school when you had no
that's
saves
super old school.
and
Yes,
yeah
I am
and
old school, but I am a Renaissance man.
yeah. And we need that's another thing we
Yeah,
need to talk when we get into thieves and skills. We need to
right.
talk. So, but we get to that
Yeah,
mechanics
absolutely, with
part a
some
little bit
balance
later.
and
Yep.
things. All right, so note that there's a war. There was a war going on between the Thieves Guild and the Beggars Union, and in this point, when the Free City Grout box set comes out, and as I said, I think it's the best publication for Greyhawk ever. I mean, and I'm not talking about the map because Malden's really enhanced the map. Yes, exactly, where disgruntled PCs gather. But the detail in this is awesome. So just note there is a war. There was a war going on, but lying underneath is another possible war in the quarters, and also there is another Sharon of Kurel is here too, and she's a little bit underhanded as well. So there's multiple baddies that are going up against, and here's Thomas Raktik, all the baddie of all of them.
Yeah.
So he is,
But it makes sense. These are like
yeah,
mafia like
yeah.
organizations, and there's like a continuous fight over over who to who's supposed to run them, so to speak. Meaning they don't have elections. They probably murdered their leader or dispose of him or her in some other fashion,
Right.
and then someone else rules, so to
Hey,
speak.
Kifir.
So yeah,
Hope your Kickstarter went real well and you're rolling with it, man. So I
yeah,
don't know if I think it's done, but let me just throw this up. I still have the shout out
yeah.
for it.
Hello, Curtis.
Yeah, so there you go. And just if you want to take a look at it, and it's good to see
Yeah,
everyone here. What happened to Honor Among Thieves? So, hey, Kurt, there is Honor Among Thieves, and that's something we need to discuss because, and I want to say that there's honor among assassins and bounty hunters too. And why do I pull bounty hunters in? Because I have my own custom class. Because if you don't have any honor at all, you don't have any rules whatsoever. And I'm not talking about game. If your guild has no rules, it feels like that Bridge in Apocalypse Now, which I talked about. Who's in charge, right? And then everyone's trying to slit everyone's throat. So you need to have some rules.
well, I think it's simply that's what the turf wars are. Who is going to set the rules and
Right.
who's going to enforce them? That's what they're fighting over, so to speak. So it's simply the person that runs it sets the rules, and as long as that person has enough power, he can enforce the rules, and then someone else gains more powers and say, no, we're not going to play by these rules, we're going to set our own rules. And then so there are rules, but it's still a chaotic situation, so to speak. So you can have one, it's like in dictatorships and authoritarian countries, meaning someone is in charge until they're no longer in charge and they have a harsh regime and their rules, and then no longer, one day they can no longer enforce it for some reason. They stepped over some invisible boundary or pissed off enough people, or lost some magic battle or got cursed or whatever it is. Meaning there's multiple reasons that the shift can happen, and it can happen gradually or it can happen
Mm-hmm.
boom overnight, so to speak.
So you have in Greyhawk you have this underpinning thief conflict that is written
Yeah.
right into this.
Mm-hmm.
And our second group of adventurers is called the Grey Company. And you know how we do the pool of characters, and everyone has to
Yeah.
have two characters,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone had at least one of them being a thief class or a thief supplement. And we did the entire Thomas Rattick conflict, and over a course of a couple of years of real existence, culminating in a big battle at the end where the Grey Company's characters, like Bill's character Galena, who, think about this, she's a dual class illusionist, human female illusionist thief, and I think her thief class is second. So think about that combination. All right, first off the bat, human goes up an illusionist, stops, and goes into thief. That's pretty powerful, right? So there's an enhancement right out there. If you have the stats to dual class in old school, and you want to become a master rogue type, well, there you go. Yeah, Thieves Guild makes for great conspiracy. They do, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one of the Thieves Guild realm more. They
Yep.
really pull the strings. So note that you have Organization, and then you have Narf Gosgill running things in Greyhawk, basically with an iron fist at that point. These are least trustable than, yeah. Sometimes we're talking. Let's apply this to player characters too. There, Rob and group. You need to have your thieves in your group that are. Who's the hell's going to open the locks and who's going to open? The game is set, so you got to have a rogue in your party. At least in the old days, you got to have some kind of person who can handle it. Now maybe it's a monk who has some of that ability, or it's a specialty priest in second edition who has some thieving ability. But you got to have someone that has those general abilities, or you're in for a rough day if you got a killer DM who has pit traps everywhere and has contact poison on all the doors. You got to have a thief. It's just a part of the mechanics of the game. So
Yeah, and you should also look at the name thief is just a label on a mechanics package that your character has. To me, it's not a job description in game world. And that's one of the things that well, we get to that later, so to speak. But you can look at the what class is in different ways, so to speak. The way I always saw it, it was like this is a bunch of mechanics as a package that you get that your character can use, so to speak. But it doesn't mean that just because you are class thief that you have to go around stealing everything and be morally corrupt, so to speak. It's yeah.
So, my morph, are you gonna have a knock spell for every damn door? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to know which Thieves Guild was really any government that collects taxes? Well, yeah, that's a funny. That's funny. We won't get into the political aspect of that, but remember,
As
you
long
have
as it's fantasy
yeah,
politics.
you
Yeah.
have Glority Buchanan. He is definitely a thief. I
Yeah.
think he's a thief class. He's a multi-class fighter thief, if I recall correctly.
Well, I see in Greyhawk
Yeah.
that the Thieves Guild is basically the tax collectors, because they
Yeah.
either you pay to them to not get robbed, but if you don't pay to them, then you will get your property stolen to some degree. So and then it goes to the city coffers, meaning the Thieves Guild's coffers. Yeah, they are one and the same. Yeah.
Protection rackets do work well. There's a lot of
Exactly,
that.
and I see the
Hmm.
Greyhawk as a protection racket, just like there are whole countries in the real world that works in the same under the same principles. So I see Greyhawk as a fantasy example of a country run as a kleptocracy. I think is the political scientific correct term for that type of governing, so to speak, or government is
Cool.
a kleptocracy. Yeah.
That's it. I did not know that that was the term for it.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
pretty neat.
political scientific term for kleptocracies. They're usually
Huh.
autocracies that are run by the government basically stealing things, and instead of collecting taxes, they don't
Yeah.
write laws. They just run it as a racketeering protection racket, so to speak. So it's usually called a kleptocracy. They have various means to they in the real world. It's not completely one way or the other. So, but if there is like a large portion of we're going to steal from you if you don't pay us money from the government, then that's called a kleptocracy. Yeah.
So Rob, yes, but remember, all of D&D is in that realm of fiction.
Exactly, and in a fantasy world, and especially even medieval countries were probably way more
Yeah.
kleptocracy, so to speak. So in a fantasy world, it makes perfect sense, and I think Greyhawk is a good example of a kleptocracy, so to speak.
So I think the best, I could be wrong, the best real life, even though it was the movie was a little bit out there and wasn't, it was
Yeah.
loosely based. If you remember in Gangs in New York, when he first
Hmm.
gets back to the city, they got
Yep.
they live in a warehouse and they're all trying to
Hmm.
put together everything that they stole to go to the
Yep.
butcher, right?
Hmm.
And so that's kind of like a loosely group of thieves, a thieves guild or
Yeah,
group,
and
and
I
that's
can see,
yeah,
yeah, I can see
yeah,
that movie. That will probably, in my opinion, that would depict when the Thieves Guild took power in Greyhawk, so to speak, after
right.
Greyhawk became independent. But now I see Greyhawk as a bit more refined kleptocracy, meaning the Thieves Guild are now so powerful they can enforce the law. So, and they need to interact with all the others because the Thieves Guild want the city to be full of merchants and rich people and so on and so forth. So I see that they, instead of, they only go out and steal the dirty old way when they have to, so to speak. When no other means work, they will kill you. But they primarily want to lift it using taxes, so to speak. But when that doesn't work, they will go and steal from you. If you refuse to pay the taxes, they don't send an invoice. They go out and send some cat burglars or some thugs to mess you up or drive you out of town or whatever it is. So I see it that because they the Thieves Guild also depend on there being a lot of people to steal things from, whether they do it through the legal, what so-called legal means, or real just go out and grab it means. They still want it, or a large part of it. But that means that you want a large part of enough people with enough money and resources to actually steal from, and that requires some sort of economy. And running a protection racket means that you also protect. That's part of the racket,
Yeah.
so to speak. So racketeering is one face, one side of the coin, and protection is the other side of the coin. Because the people that pay into the Thieves Guild, they want to make sure that no one else steals their stuff. Because otherwise they will stop paying and they will pay someone else to do it. And that's usually how the Thieves Guild stay in power, so to speak. They have the monopoly of violence, so to speak, that every government needs to maintain, whether they're lawful evil or not, so to speak.
Yeah, and it seems like everything has come together in the right way when you read that Free City Greyhawk
Yeah.
box set with that Thieves Guild.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
think it's a great example
yeah,
of a great idea for a fantasy city, and I
yeah,
think it would work. And
yeah,
it's a good both an interesting,
Definitely not like
dynamic
Thieves World.
fantasy city, but it's also cool for building campaigns and stuff because it has intrigue built in.
Yep.
And it makes the city function, I think. So yeah, so I agree. It's an interesting, great way for many reasons, so to speak.
Make sure I got that. I think the giveaway's set. Okay. So first edition, your base stats. Pickpockets, open locks, find remove traps, move silently, hide in shadows, hear noise, climb walls, read languages. All based, and then you got racial, which I don't think that exists anymore. But you got dexterity modifiers, which are on our chart, and this scales up. It's not bad. It works. You get to a certain level though, and when you're 10th and up, you're really good at a lot of your stuff. But okay, that's
Yeah.
climb
To
walls
me,
is an interesting one. Yeah. So
yeah. The interesting thing with that's one of the things that were both a cool idea in first edition and was really cool and also complicated in a way, was that there were many different subsystems,
right.
meaning the skills and stuff for rogues that works differently than other stuff. So meaning in 5e and 4e and others, then you have the same base mechanics for everything, and you had difficulty classes, meaning a lock can be, some locks were easy to pick, so even a low level could do it. Some locks were really difficult. Here you just have a percentage straight off, so to speak. And I like the DC idea, so to speak, that different locks have different difficulties or whatever it is, when stealth and whatever it is. Sometimes it's hard to do, sometimes it's easy.
So what I allow is through the door to other locations, not obvious hear noise signs there, Dave. Also, these work well, and there's no reason why in an open locks you can't use. I mean, these are in 5% and go. This is a really difficult lock. I've seen it's written right into a lot of adventure modules. Mine's 20% because it's a very
exactly.
complex
You
lock.
have it. So yeah.
When Thieves leveled, they were assigning new percentage rules, right? So. Well, we'll get to that, George. We'll get to that. Second edition changes everything, which I have a happy medium for how it works.
Okay, I
we
even forgot how it worked.
I'll show you. I'll show you what I did, and it works. It works perfectly for our campaign, which is once again that's what I do everything for. Now, you get on these, and there's like, okay, these are all good stats, but let's talk about one of our great friends departed, who I'm assuming, Rob, you knew well, and he's like, well, and this is out of Dragon 60, which is, I believe, in my opinion, is one of the greatest dragons of all time with everything in it. We've gone through this. And this also has the midgets in the earth, and we'll get to that as well because, Yuban Had's in there, and elves are in here, and all sorts of other great things. And then it has this article by Leonard Lakofka, The Thief is Special Luck. So Len goes through a synopsis of what's missing, what's not, using intelligence table for languages, which I do, instead of, because there's no modifiers on it. So, yeah, exactly. You're Rob. You're definitely on to something there. So, Len says we need to know how to set traps. And I agreed 100% when I read this article, especially when I'm going to start creating a bounty hunter class and also an assassin class as well. I'll make a tickle cough. So, Len makes this article that sets up set traps. A really cool idea. We utilize it. Think about this. You're out in the woods somewhere. Okay, there's no skill for really setting traps. It's really not. Is it find remove traps? I don't know. I want to set up a snare that's going to pull someone in the air. I want to do a deadfall log or something. Here's your column for it, with all the multipliers and stuff in it. But if you fail by over 21%, you set the trap off on yourself. So when you're making it, so I like this.
You had the fumble thing was built in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is on all my character sheets. This is added in there on the sheets. We've used this. It's got to be, I want to say 35 years we've used this. This is one of the, Len has come up with so many contributions to the game. This was another one. It's a small one, but it's something that really, really helped us out. So here's an enhancement right off the bat. Think about this. You're going to play an assassin. Okay, whoever was talking about assassins earlier, was that Morph and Doc Shoulder?
Yeah, that's when we sneak attacks and stuff.
Assassins aren't just out to kill people, or if you're using my bounty hunter class, they're out to capture them. This set trap skill is perfect. So, and just note, my bounty hunters also have magical traps they can set as a special ability, and they use this to make sure they place it properly. So just, okay, there's an enhancement right off the bat to give your straight thief a little more zest. Or here's another one. You're camping in a dungeon, and there's a door. Set a sound trap on the door for night. Right? Simple. You can do that with dex check if you want, but now you have skills to do it. Okay, just putting that out there. So, a certain zest for she had a certain zest for Lacey Underall. Curtis, I knew exactly where you're going with that. Curtis. Curtis, you're the only one that got the Apocalypse Now. The dude from Apocalypse Now is the same. Same guy from Jersey Wales. That was awesome. No one else was even thought about that. So don't want to play the bad guy, but I sure like reading about them. Well, so your thief in old school can be a character, single class, dual class if you're human and have the stats, or double or triple class if you're. Now at the time originally it was only elf or half elf, but then it switched when Arcana came out to anyone could be a fighter thief, dwarf, gnome, halfling. That was a cool. It's still a cool combination. Then there was, druid thief, illusionist thief for gnomes, regular multi-class stuff. All this stuff started popping up in the Arcana rules, so you could really have some good mixes. Now, second edition. What happens in second edition, Anna? There's a big change, which is kind of neat, but can be really, really screw up your game.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. So, and that is this table here. Now I know it's a little sideways. I'm sorry for my bad photocopy.
No, but this is interesting
Yeah.
because I forgot about second edition.
All right, so here is second edition, and these are all your modifiers starting off the back. You notice I have set traps in there because it doesn't exist. Read languages was left off. Then half orc. Oh, we don't have half orcs anymore. Remember in that second edition era, I had to put that down there. You assign points to your stat abilities.
Yeah, it started to be like the skill ranks of third edition. It was the precursor to that. Yep.
Absolutely. So I said to myself, I don't allow weapon specialization for multi-class characters. So if you're a fighter cleric, you don't get weapon specialization. You can't like a straight fighter does. Or if you're a ranger mage, you don't get it. But if you're a straight ranger, and I said to myself, I'm going to do the same thing with thieves. If you're a straight class thief, that is your specialty. You're going to be allowed to do stat assignments to your character. Thugs as well, Curtis, and you probably know that because you know how good Fritz is and moves silently and hide in shadows, right? So you understand this. So straight class characters get this in first edition, get this ability to assign their stats. Now they get like 30% each level, or 35 because I added in set traps. They can only apply 15 any one skill each level going up. So there is a little bit of you can't put all 35 in hide in shadows. So thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Yes. So that's straight class thief. Now that applies to a dual class human too, because it's a separate class. No multi classes. Problem solved. There you go. You can also do this if you want to do it for assassins, but I don't. I don't do it for bounty hunters and assassins. Only thieves. Only thieves. It works well. We've play tested it, and that opens it up where there's some thieves now that are they want to be specialists. They want to be maybe a trap specialist, or they want to be, they may want to be able to read languages real well, So it does that. The thug class with abilities and strength. Yes. Absolutely, Curtis. All right. So other second edition things, Anna. Let me take a step back here. The Thief Acrobat. Let's go back to Earth Arcana.
Yes, that was an interesting. That was that came in Unearthed Arcana, right? The first edition Thief Acrobats.
Yeah, that's mine. Greg, that's mine. Go into second edition player's handbook. Yeah, go into the second edition player's handbook. Find this table. It looks like it says 39 right down here. Right. So and then look, intelligence statistic used in place of dexterity for read languages here for base. Okay. So that's okay. Right there. And then you can do. I think it's 30 points per level raised, except for when you initially get it. I think it's 60 when you first start, and then I made it 35 because I added set traps. All right. So yeah. All right, let me go back to this. So Thief Acrobat is a mess, right? I mean, who plays Thief Acrobat in your game?
We
So
had them back in the day when I think it was when Unearthed Arcana. Wasn't that the
yeah,
when
Sergeant
the
Can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had one player, he played Thief Acrobats, and they were fun, but they were also kind of weird and overpowered, and it was a little bit messy. Yeah.
So I do, Rob, and we'll get to that. I am proud of my bounty hunter. I really think the bounty hunter is my best class I've made. So that's just, and it's the oldest class I've made. We made the bounty hunter. I made the bounty hunter before the necromancer. We'll talk about that in a second, because I wanted them people. I wanted my players to be. I didn't allow PC assassins back then. I had to. Hey, Rob. By the way, we're all rating into Rob's game tonight because he's going to have Curtis, Brett, Coco, and Bird playing in the Castles and Crusade game.
Okay.
So that's where we're going to be heading tonight after here. So there's Darling. Good to see you. So I just, oops, I hit a wrong button. Oh, wrong button. I'm hitting way too many freaking buttons here tonight. So yes, Rob Kuntz, everyone, is on the Real Roblar. So the Thief Acrobat comes out, and we're like, oh, cool. And then we're like, this sucks. I'm sorry, Rob, if you had anything to do with it. It can't do anything. You know, it serves, in game purposes, it doesn't really serve anything at all. And we tried to figure out ways.
Here's all alignments except lawful good, which I think it was funny.
Yeah, that was weird too. Was a bounty hunter class based on the Fall Guy? I know you have that on your brain because that new stupid movie remake's coming out, right? But no, it was based on me wanting them to be able to play a non-evil type character that was not an assassin. So, yes, that's why. But the person who plays Thief Acrobat always wants to do crazy stuff. Exactly. So we did our best. Alan actually did his best, and we changed up the Thief Acrobat and made a table for special abilities here. Here we go, and tried to make it more sensical where it went up. So we have tightrope walking, pole vaulting, high jumping, broad jumping, evasion, movement rate, and falling. The movement rate increase is cool. It's kind of like a monk, but it's a lot slower. Falling is neat. Prorates it. What? I can't remember. I remember one time a pole vault was used with a 10-foot pole. I remember that once. I never remember a high jump or broad jump used. And evasion's kind of cool if you haven't get initiative. I don't remember tightrope walking ever being used ever.
But to me, this is bad game design. It's just overcomplicated. Instead of having a simple formula that you roll d20, you add a DC or something, and you have but you can have one formula where you can calculate how far you can and how you can jump. You have to have like a tax return formula, a table, and look it up and down and whatnot. That to me is just difficult, and doing it backwards. Yeah.
So I think we have in 44 years three Thief Acrobats. That's it.
I remember one we played, and it was, but this is, yeah, instead of having a simple rule that can do a lot of cool outcomes, you have a very complicated rule to accomplish the same thing. There is a much easier way to do this than to have a huge table like an Excel spreadsheet in order to have
Rob,
it. So
I can see this being a great solo class for like the DM and one-on-one. I can see that 100%. I have no problem with that at all.
It was a very versatile class.
Yeah, very very
versatile.
A lot of stuff. I could see that all day long. And in fact, I would recommend that for it. So.
And it's a great idea thematically to have characters that can be good at jumping around and do stunts like that. That's really really cool. So yeah.
Absolutely. Honestly, I think we had one PC who played the class. Yeah, Barbarian, once again, minor tweaks, but we use Barbarians, but they're not played that much because they're humans only in old school. Thief Acrobat was always more of an NPC. Yeah, and you can use them for cool NPCs, like when you're chasing them in Greyhawk around. But
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But we have to remember the Gord books. Gord was a thief acrobat, fighter thief acrobat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, if I remember, yeah, because Gary wrote
He was dual
an
class.
aftertext. Exactly, he was like well, he didn't follow the rules. He
Right,
was
but
like
yeah.
a double
Right.
multi whatever. So he had like Gary wrote a summary or like explaining him in game terms in I think it was an old Saga of Old City at the end, and also in the first two books. Artifact of Evil. So I think he was like a fighter, thief, acrobat kind of combo. Yeah,
Okay.
that was probably not allowed in in first edition rules, but it was that combination, so to speak. He could do all the cool stuff that a thief could do. He was very good at acrobatics, sneaking around, and he was also damn good at fighting and good with weapons and stuff.
Hence, and then and this can be found in as a kit, but this is in. Remember the player's guide? I think Dan Brown did.
Yeah.
Has this in there, and I was like
Oh,
intrigued
Greyhawk
on it because
thugs.
they're called
Yeah.
Greyhawk thugs specifically, and
Yeah.
that intrigued me. So, thank you. Nice cover. Yeah, I'm actually gonna refer to my own publication here, Phantom.
Mhm.
Thugs are thieves who rely on brute force to commit their crimes. So what happens with these is the changes in a thug is slight to what you have for a regular thief, but they can use any weapon that's not super large. They can use footmen's maces, hammers, and all sorts of other things that normal thieves cannot use, and they get a +1 to hit with their weapons, so they're a little bit better. But they backstab percentage is less, and their thieving abilities are a little behind a standard thieves. So they are thugs, and they're like gang members for the most part. And it talks about locations that they can be found. So, and this is in second edition. It's basically a kit off of, and I was like, I'm intrigued. We're gonna play test this. So Walt has a character, and I guess he stole this name right from Lion King. I guess he has his half-orc character in Harvey, Rafiki, who's a thug, and then Fritz Winchester is the other thug. So this is like we started really playtesting this about 10 years ago. I only have 2 in the whole campaign. There's just no, but Curtis loves the thug as well. So I like tweaking and messing around with things. But once again, Rob Kuntz and everyone else, I back convert everything I do back to a first edition class. I don't play second edition classes. I play first edition classes. Everything gets back converted, if that makes sense. I'll explain. I'll explain how that's the case. And so I'll give you an example. A mage. They have all these spheres, right? Oh, I'm an invoker, but I can't use necromancer or whatever. I don't have spheres of the casters. For my elementalists and wild mages, I back convert it to first edition, and they have spell lists that are off the spheres that they're allowed that they can cast off of, which is a first edition rule, having the list. Same thing with specialty priests. The specialty priests could have travelers, war, healing spheres. And I can look it up in the book, and if it's in that sphere, I can cast it. No, I make the list up, and then it's turning it into a first edition class. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so I note the nuance of I don't use second edition classes. I may use them and convert them to first edition classes.
Well, yeah, you're good because I don't use classes at all. So,
yes, I know. Which
but we have to get into that a little bit when we talk to mechanics.
Sure.
When we have a break here. So
absolutely,
yep.
Sense is always good. Invocation is a serious business. So I'm just giving you examples.
Yeah.
There, because who wants to have regular game cancel? Yeah. Converter works fine. Exactly, Dale. Converter works fine in both directions. I'm just telling you what I do. That's all, and sharing it. So, okay. Let's just continue here a little.
Classless society, yes. Not society is not classless in my campaign. Definitely not. But the rules are the rules mechanics are classless. Yeah.
Which was Pathfinder 2 merged with 5th edition.
Well, yeah. So what I've done is that I've used 5e and advanced 5e level up from EN Publishing. Those are my base, so to speak, and then I tweaked it and tweaked it a bit. Not too much though. I removed classes, but if you take that out as a concept, then the rest is fairly same, so to speak. It's not no biggie. People who played 5e and other types of D&D, they will feel almost right at home. So it's no biggie there.
All
It's
right.
more like instead of having a class saying I'm a rogue that or a thief, that will be you have a job description in campaign. You can say my character is a thief working for the Thieves Guild, but mechanically that means that your characters that have certain sneak abilities, you might have sneak attacks, you might have certain weapon proficiencies, maybe only light armor proficiency and skip the heavy, middle, and medium armor, for instance, and stuff like that. So it's more like a cherry pick. Pick what you want to learn. You only each character only has certain amount of things they can learn, so to speak. But you can cherry pick. I want to learn heavy on weapons and sneaking, but I skip the lock picking and stuff like that. I don't learn thieves tools because you become more thuggies. You want to be a thug for the Thieves Guild. That means that you learn sneak attack, you learn weapons a lot, and you learn to stealth and to be sneaky and stealthy. But you skip the open locks and all that stuff, so to speak. Or you can simply say the opposite. I want to be a cat burglar and say instead of doing weapons and stuff, I want to be sneaky. I want to be able to open locks and stuff, but I want to learn some spells and stuff instead to do that. So you can tweak it one way or the other. And if you become a thief or not, that's up to the job description, so to speak. You might become a warrior for some lord of some sort that needs a force of warriors and do that as a instead of being a thug for the Thieves Guild. So that might vary. So yeah,
It's based on
that's
that. It's like a
yeah.
skill tree almost, Princess. I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
which
Yep.
is
So
cool.
you use XP and when you earn XP, you can convert that and say, oh, I want to spend my 100 XP on learning that, so to speak. And
It's a cool
so on instead.
concept.
Yeah.
That I can see.
It's not good for beginners though, because
Well,
classes is really good because you know what you get, so to
right.
speak. You buy a package and you get into it. So it's easy.
It's
Yeah.
good for a beginning campaign though. Starting from
Yeah.
if I told my guys after 44 years we're not going to have classes anymore,
You
they
know,
they would
they like to play it that way.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But
Yep.
it makes total sense for a lot of people. All right, here's
Yeah.
another subclass of rogue. Now, until Baldur's Gate 3 came out, the greatest RPG of all time was Baldur's Gate 2, right? So
Yeah.
I
That
stole
was
from
really
that
good.
a ton of stuff from Baldur's Gate 2.
Mm-hmm.
I like this idea of the swashbuckler class. Now, the name
Yeah.
swashbuckler, I wanted to go
It's
with
always been around those dilettante
Yep.
kind of that does it with style kind of thing.
Yep.
It's
That's
yeah.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. I was thinking Dragoon because if y'all remember when this is like it's got to be late 90s, early 2000s. The
Yeah.
stupid Bruce Campbell Jack of all trades was out, and he was called the Daring Dragoon. I'm like,
Yeah.
and Bill's like, don't call him that. And I was like, why
But
not?
it's a lot of movies are being made. Meaning,
Right.
come on, Pirates of the Caribbean. He was kind of a swashbuckler.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
kind of in if you
Or a
turn him into
corsair.
a character type. So yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of swashbuckling makes for a good story, so to speak. So yeah.
So I made up this class. It's a very light fighter, but it's a thief class. So they're not very good in front combat, but they think they are. So and they get a weapon specialization +2 to hit, +1 damage. They get the same inverse that a cavalier gets, but they don't get increased weapons number of weapons. Oh, thanks. Close to all.
Well, I got the sense that some swashbucklers were expert at one weapon, so they can kind of fence and be like really good at one thing. And yeah,
that's a good name too. I think I didn't go with Highwayman because then Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, that was already a class.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to knock off. I wanted to go with something that wasn't around at the time. And plus, It's a
sorry.
subclass right in the Baldur's Gate 2 game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
okay, I can work with
Yeah.
that, you know.
So,
So
is the swashbuckler good with the skill parts, meaning open locks and
not
all
as
that
good
stuff?
as a thief, but
Okay, so
they're better as a they're better fighters. So if we go to
uh-huh.
table 2. Here's their penalties to start.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. But the Hiding Shadows and Moose Huntley's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Moose. Thanks for hyping us up there.
Hello.
We got a Classic D&D reprint giveaway. If somehow we get to a level 3, I'll double it, just like I normally do. Okay, but we're doing that at least tonight. So they're better. This kind of like when this came out, everyone's like, I'm not playing a Thief Acrobat anymore. You know, I don't need the pole vault. Whatever. It's just because I put down here that they could do. When they attack from behind or surprise, they get that's the wrong table. That was Thief Acrobat's page 2.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to
Dumbass.
vote. Will put up a new
please.
poll on his Patreon. I'm going to vote for Rogue.
There you go. Everyone go on Will's
right
Patreon
now.
and vote for Rogue.
Yeah,
So,
Rogue and
thank you,
Fighter
Deserted
seems to
GM.
be the most popular right now. So, but
Please.
it just got up. So, yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
go on that Patreon if you're a member. Cyrano Jones, he died. He just died, Tefaris. The dude from Star Trek. No, he didn't just die. Let me rephrase that. I was looking at an in memoriam listing on YouTube for 1977, and he was on it. And I was like, oh, I guess that guy's not around anymore. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So
I saw that Bernard Hill.
Yeah.
He passed away. What was it, a couple of days ago? That was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he,
exactly.
He died in
King
both
Theoden.
Titanic and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and now he died for real. So
King Theoden, that's what we're talking about, absolutely. And thanks for the hype train here.
Yeah.
Broblar was the thinking man's fighter, moved in through like a thief, then wham, just like Conan, but was in sort of a thief class. Yeah, and you didn't want to back convert him there, Broblar. You didn't want to dual class him at that time. I understand that. Because then you had to surpass, then your fighter would never go up. So you're kind of stuck. Humans tend to be kind of stuck. So here's the abilities on them. They don't even get backstab till 5th, and it's always it's a whole table below Thieves. The most they can ever do is
okay,
triple.
they never reach.
Yeah.
How many D6s extra do Thieves get maximum? Is it like 8 or 10?
I think it's quintuple on the table.
Okay, so it's quintuple, so it's like 8. Yeah.
Well, for example, say you have a short sword. And it's a die 6, and you backstab, and if you're 9th, it's 4 die 6, and if you're 13th, it's 5 die 6. That's what I know. School.
Yep.
Now, here's a thing that I get in trouble with Thieves. And I want to get everyone's opinion on it. So my thought is that when and this is when Roger Moore really makes a change in the game. Two-fisted fighting, dual weapon fighting changes everything, and we had to think about specialization and all. I allow Thieves to backstab with both. Right now, I don't allow assassinations with both, but I allow backstabs with both. So that could lead for some really nasty backstab attempts. But then I look at it, and everyone always complained to me, well, it's so hard to get in a position to backstab, and you got to hide in shadows and all. I want them to make it worth their while. Plus, you know what? I do with critical hits, everyone. So I'm just thinking, do you allow a dual-wielding thief to backstab with both attacks? I want to see what the audience says and what you think, Anna.
Yeah. For me, it's simple. It's once per round, regardless of how many weapons you have. You just add, depending on. And this is a skill. This is a skill that you learn incrementally. So you can add 1d, and you can add. Hang on a second. I put it up here so you have it just. So you can add proficiency. We have all this stuff. So you add a d. Originally, it's let's see, sneak attacks here.
Yeah, of course, Tom. You can say his full name. Tom doesn't want to say Rumple's full name.
So you add a d6. So you add 1d. The basic sneak attack is 1d6, and then you can add. If you get better, you can train to get better. Then you add 2d6 and 3, all the way up to 10d6. And if you want to be really, really cool, you can specialize in it. Then you get a d8 instead. So but that means that you, in order to do that, you have to forego so many. If you want to be the best sneak attacker in the world, you need to sacrifice so many other stuff. So that means that you only get really good at that, and you become much less good at other stuff, so to speak. It's in my system, it's like, oh, you specialize in this, that means that you don't, you sacrifice something else.
And you're saying D6 and D8 because in 5th edition it's really standardized.
Exactly, and
Right.
it's once per round, regardless of how many
Okay.
weapon. It doesn't matter if you use
Geek, that
3
was
other
really kind of
attacks.
you.
Yeah, and the basic is that I will allow it. There's one specific requirement, so to speak, is that the attacker, the targets need to be unaware of you. It can't be aware of you, so to speak. So if the target see you coming, it doesn't work. And so the target either needs to be unaware of you attacking it, or it needs to be disabled or in some other way, so to speak, to do it. So I can allow it from different perspectives. And it's what I see it is like dirty fighting, assassinations, and also sniping. That's why I will allow it with ranged weapons, because if you get really good, you can learn to use you do it with the ranged weapon as well. And that's like aiming, but then the target has to be stationary and not aware of you. So it's like and that means that and you can do it once, so you can really aim well and then shoot, so to speak, up to any short range. So it's not long range, it's short range. You can do it.
So and the reason I don't allow that is I have the Leonard Kafka Archer for that. Right, so I have a class specifically that's that, and I don't want to give that. I do not want to get flanking or
but for me, it's like you need to take you need to train first. You train it with melee weapons. You can do it with melee weapons, and then you can simply say, well, I want to do it with ranged. You learn to do it with ranged weapons, and then you can do it with ranged weapons that you're proficient with. And that's the other thing. You have to be proficient with the weapons you're doing it with, so to speak.
Okay.
So that means that you need to train. So if you're proficient with a bow and you have sneak attack and you have sneak attack with ranged weapons, then you can do it. So it can be devastatingly effective, but that also means that in order to get there, you need to sacrifice a whole bunch of other stuff. So you will not be that good at a whole bunch of other things, so to speak. So a master sneak attack or like assassin type character can not learn. There's a lot less you can learn, so to speak. So that will require basically 3 or 4 levels of getting better at sneak attacks for almost 4 levels.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, then you can be the master of it. But it's possible if you want to. Yeah.
Well, Tom just hopped us over that, so we got 2 giveables tonight there. Thanks, Tom.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think poor.
Or like 3 levels. It's 100 XP per time. So you basically 1,000 XP. That's 2 classes. Yeah, about 4 classes. If you want to have 10 D8s and be able to use it in both melee and ranged weapons, then it's little over 3, almost 4 levels of features, so to speak. It will take you almost 4 levels, and you can only get it when you're really high level too, because you requires 6 proficiencies. You can only get that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, you can only get 10 D6 when you like level 16 or something like that.
Okay.
So it scales up with levels.
Wow.
So when so you need to, because proficiency is required in order to get the highest one, so to speak. Yeah.
All right, so let's go to this. Tim loves this class. He has a commander too, which is a fighter base of this. The Scout, the Thief Without the Thieving. This came out of a Dragon magazine. Now,
it's also a great class, like the Outdoors Thief, which I think it's
right.
Cool. Yeah.
For me, though, I think it crosses over a little too much to other. So I haven't really. Hey, Tim wants to run in his games, which he does, which is great. You know, even in my campaign, I have no problem with it. But I don't have it as a playtest class for me. I don't have it open to my guys playing when I'm DMing. I just it's okay. I got Rangers, I got priests that do this kind of stuff, like Tritherian priests. And all sorts of other things. So I have not added that in.
But
Rangers
it sounds a bit like a
right.
Ranger Thief multi-class, the Scout.
It's very similar to a Ranger Thief multi-class. I agree on that. Yeah, definitely. And some other things. Monks even get some of this ability. Yeah. But it's cool. I mean, no 2 DMs are the same. And that's the great thing. So this is one I have not put into mine. But Tim has it, and that's I was hoping Tim
when
would
you
come on.
use classes, I think it makes a lot of sense. If a multi-classing concept will be interesting, it's kind of cool to make it into a class so you get the balance right and you can kind of tweak it. That
Yeah.
sounds to me like a good thing to do.
Yeah, awesome. And also Rangers are still the best of that. But there is one that I use, and it's a fighter subclass, and we're gonna stretch into the fighter subclasses a bit, or some other weird ones.
Yeah.
And now, once again, the greatest dragon magazine of all time, Dragon 60, has this gem in it, and you could call it a gem, or you could call it whatever you so choose. Maybe it's not a gem, but Roger Moore wrote a jester class.
Yeah.
All right, so I have, I think, 3 jesters in my campaign. I think they're all NPCs, and they're annoying.
Mm-hmm.
They're annoying. Okay, they're basically a poor man's everything. They get barely any thief abilities. They're comedy relief. So Theo's heroes, Theodore Craxus is Dragon looks upon me. Jesters are clever. They are clever. That's about all they are. They do get some limited charm, sphere, and illusionist spells, and they get these abilities. Look, they got pickpockets, climb walls. They can't open locks. They can't do anything. They can't do much, but they do get some spells. And they can intimidate and insult monsters and do some other things. It probably isn't best of Dragon, but I like always going to the original if I remember specifically. It is a fun thing to play, and it could be humans, half elves, or gnomes. I think have unlimited advancement. So kudos to Roger Moore. Something he created. So
Yeah.
Jester or Bard variant? No, not even close. We're not going to go to bards because bards are a full discussion in themselves.
Yes. And they in some editions they are close to Thieves Rogues. In some editions,
Dragon
they are
60
not,
there,
so,
Rob. Dragon 60 by Roger Moore. Yep. Okay. So next, Dragon 63. Now this is where we're going to cross over into fighters. You see it right up here, and I think Roger Moore wrote this too. Bandit NPC.
Okay.
I love this class. In fact, Bones' character, everyone knows Devin, is a bandit and a really good one. I'd rather have a bandit than a scout. I see a bandit as someone who is not trained in the ways of a ranger, right? Who's basically a highwayman. And I think, look, it says looter, raider, marauder, highwayman. So Tom Armstrong, it was Roger Moore on this one. Yeah, Roger. He did this. Yeah. So another one. It is a great issue, isn't it? Yeah, you could have, Rob. It's or used that one. Thank you all for the hype train. Really appreciate it. We getting over the goal there, and we do 2 giveaways. So and there you go. It's your listing of who can become bandits. They have limited abilities, but they can. I give them weapon specialization, not multiple attacks, but +1 hit, +2 damage. But they are a fighter subclass. So with that, you're gonna get some interesting things. They're a poor man's ranger, but if you want to have a quicker table, you want to have cover tracks ability, and you're more about, a lot of them tend to be very neutral, right? So, or even evil. So the highwayman is the perfect name for these. Brigand's another name for them, So, yep. Bones has a great character, Devin, and Devin's getting married in the red wedding event in 2 weeks. Right? It's only 2 weeks away. So that's a fighter subclass, though. A subclass of a subclass I made is for ship base, and I made the Corsair class, and that's a bandit of the ocean, and we'll talk about that at some time in the future. But that is another. They get special abilities on shipboard, so there you go, and that's the Corsair. We won't talk about that as much. We're going to go somewhere else here now, Anna, and I forgot what I was going to do. So assassins. Let's go back to the assassin. All right, let's go back to an assassin and discuss. The heroic legendary before written by a friend, Alan Growy. Oh, cool. Where can that be found? Is it on his site, Greg? Let me go to First Edition Player's Handbook here, and let's talk about this. I want your opinions on this too, audience, and Anna, yours as well. I'm assuming you have no assassin.
No, that's why I use sneak attack and stuff like that. That's
okay.
the assassin, so to speak. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
if you want to be someone who can kill instantly, so to speak, there are these sneak attacks, and you can specialize in getting better and better at it. And you can also improve critical. That's other things you can learn. So if you want to
cool.
be a combat specialist and deal an enormous amount of damage, you can. But that means that you have to forego other things, so to speak. So that's the
Okay.
yeah.
Assassin. Now, trivia
And then you
question.
can work as an assassin for someone. They might call yourself
Yes,
assassin
yes,
in
and that's what
game,
they
so
did
to
in
speak.
second edition. So
Yeah.
they turned Deathstalker into a straight class fighter
Yeah.
instead of an assassin class. All right, trivia question. First edition D&D. What are the two classes that can outright kill? There are two. What are they?
Assassin. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Yeah. Well, obviously one. There are two
Yeah.
classes that can outright kill. What are they? Yes, I sure got it. And fourth got it. Monk
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and assassin can outright kill.
Yeah.
Yes, good job, everyone. So monks have that ability as well. So they make assassins lesser thieves. I take pickpockets away, even though it says in here, and then everything's 2 levels lower. They do get alignment language. They can do druidic. Thieves can't. I added. Oops. I guess it would help if I showed you all this. Beggars can't. I added in here any other can'ts that you allow. I allow here. Disguise is a cool ability. So there's cool abilities here. Here's where it gets a little dicey. There's an assassination table in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I have it in my. What is everyone's thought? Now, it is not easy to assassinate someone, especially when your thief abilities are 2 levels lower than a thief. It's really difficult for these to assassinate people, but it can happen. And the table, I don't think I brought that up. Let me see if I have that assassination table. Let me just type in ASSASS, and I bet you it'll show up. Yeah, do. Look at that. I'm so smart. Okay, so here's your table. So if you are, say, you're a 6th level assassin. I'm sorry, it's this way. 6th level assassin, your chance to knock out to kill a 8th or 9th level character is 35%. This assumes, though, you've gotten in a position of complete surprise and are successfully attacking. And I always say it's in a backstab attack or a complete total surprise attack. No missiles on this, and then you roll percents.
But to me, it's so sad that they have all these cool mechanics for doing all this, and then they just smooth it over with a percentage.
True.
To me, that defeats the purpose of the game in itself, so to speak. It's yeah, meaning this is an epic part of the game that should definitely be played out, not smoothed over by a percentage.
Well, they eliminate this right off the bat after first edition, right?
Exactly, because I think it
Yeah.
was a dumb idea to begin with. That's because is a cool part of the game, and characters should definitely be able
Hey, Mike.
to assassin others, but then it should be played out using the combat rules.
So the coup de grace rule.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you all the example of the silliest one of all time.
Yeah.
And let's go back to the gold
What
box.
edition did the coup de grace? Was that
First.
Oh, it wasn't first.
Kill
Oh,
someone
I
outright.
didn't remember. I didn't remember it until 3rd edition coup de grace.
I want you all to be honest. Gold box. How many hold person or a sleep spell on some kind of helpless creature, and then
Yeah.
you'd throw a dart at them, and it would kill them outright because they were held or asleep? I am guilty. I know all of you are guilty in those gold box games on the PC of doing it too. Come on, be honest. We used to do that all the time. That was one of the funnest things. And I was like, no. So I changed the coup de grace to you can do max damage with your weapon attack. Just don't fumble. If you crit, it's max damage, whatever the critical is. And then also, if you're a thief, you get your max damage on whatever that backstab would have been when you go for a coup de grace attack. So
yeah, I think if for 5th edition you get like 4 times the damage or something, if I remember correctly.
So,
you can,
5th level thief's getting triple. So if you have a longsword, And with pluses, say you're going to do
Yeah.
27 points of damage.
Mhm.
Boom. Right.
I
They
I
kill
would
someone.
say that my interpretation that I usually do is that you do an automatic crit when you
That's a
do
good way of
it.
doing it too.
Yeah, you get an auto crit.
That's a
No,
good way of
no
doing it.
need to hit. You
Yeah.
just crit and deal out the damage you would do crit. Usually one
Yeah.
set of full damage and then roll for another one, so to speak. And that's how I normally would handle it. So if you have a helpless target and no one else is fighting you or anything, so if you get around and you have a helpless, it takes a round when you don't need to fight anybody else. If it's you and a helpless target, and for one round you can get an automatic crit, so
Okay.
to speak. That's how I would do it. Yeah.
For me,
But that means that you, oh, sorry.
no. For me, I make them roll and not fumble because there's combat going on all around, and people,
Yes,
you could slip.
that's
And
why I have the rule that no one else they can't be attacked by anybody else, so to
Okay.
speak. That it
That makes
needs to,
sense, too.
otherwise it wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there can be other combat going around, but no one else
Cool.
should threaten them, so to speak. So at least if they're like at least without threat range, then they have one round with the victim. But it also requires them to have like access to them, meaning that there should be no protective spells, or and there could be other stuff like that. But if they can get to the, meaning they should be able to roll them over and find the neck or whatever it is, and if they can reasonably do that, then it's an
Okay.
auto crit.
See, the
Yeah.
reason I stay away from that is you could have, in theory, a first level character kill an 18th level paladin.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. And you can have a sneaky little commoner killing a character that is 14th level.
Right. Right.
Yes.
That's why I
Yeah.
do max damage on weapon attack instead.
Yeah, but that's part of the grittiness that I kind of like in a way, because I want players to feel like they can die. Any combat can theoretically kill you, so to speak. So they shouldn't go in there and just thinking that, oh, this will be a cakewalk automatically.
I
Because
understand that. I just
yeah,
I just don't want an abuse issue coming up
yeah.
that I saw in the
But
goal
it's
box games
Yeah,
with the
but
darts.
on the other hand,
Yeah.
there is also, just because you succeed with a crit, just because you wipe all the hit points out, doesn't mean that someone dies automatically. There are death saves and stuff like that coming into it. So one round, even if you do 3 times as many, even if you have like an 18th level paladin with 1 hit point left and someone else do 50 points of damage,
Hey, I'm
you're
in.
still not dead automatically just because of it. There's death saves and stuff like that coming into
Well,
it.
that's
But
in the 5th edition.
exactly.
You're a
But
negative 10 in old school, you're dead.
oh yeah, yeah. So it's not an auto death. It will
Right.
probably take 3 rounds, because what my second rule will be, if they, then you can be around and do damage the next round, and that means that they will automatically fail the next death save and stuff, because if you dole out damage,
So you're saying you can't outright kill someone in 1 round. It takes 4 rounds.
yeah, well, yeah, it
Okay.
depends, but yeah, but it's something
Okay.
like that. Yeah, so it will take like 20 seconds or something in game, so to
Alright.
speak, to do it. So yeah, so
Fair
about 4
enough.
rounds. If you can stand over them and use a dagger to get to them and carve off the head or whatever you do, depending on what type of target it is, then it will take a few rounds. But yes, it's definitely doable. And if you're someone who is really skilled, you can probably do it in 2 rounds. Yeah.
Okay.
But it usually takes 3 or 4 rounds to do it. Yeah. And a round is a minute, yes, and it's 6 seconds in the later editions. Yeah. Per round.
Yeah, and that's
It's
something
10
we
rounds per
never
minute.
we should go over one day as to
It's
what
just
we
an
consider.
it's
Yeah.
just an abstract thing. So yeah, but it was written that way, that it was a minute in the early edition, and then when they had the segments and stuff like that in early editions too. You never used segments specifically, or
No, I did. So once again, I got to keep the game moving.
yeah,
And when we started going around with casting spells and segments, if you use segments, that means use individual initiative. If you use
Yeah.
individual initiative, that
it
means
takes forever.
it takes forever. The rounds go
Yeah.
on, and then you forget
Mhm.
someone, and you go
Oh
out of
yeah,
order.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just because if you're on VTT, it's calculated. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is the class. This is my class. This is my bounty hunter.
Oh,
I didn't even
okay.
know there was a
Yep.
bounty hunter in Dragon when I made this. Okay, this is my bounty hunter. Now note, this is it's completely done for CNC, and Stephen Chenault, I quote, "That is badass." So just note it's going to be in here. Oh, thanks. But I shouldn't be eating this. So, but I appreciate it. My son bought me popcorn. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. So this is my class. He is a good kid. And it was his birthday 2 days ago, and he got a really great gift. So, all right. So it's crazy how long ADD takes to run it. It is, Lenders, and I don't want that. And you know, on stream, I want to get boom, 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 boom. Individual initiative can drag out. It's to each his own. All right. Here you go. Bounty Hunter. I want everyone to play assassins, but I don't want them to be evil, and I don't want them to outright kill. So what do? If you notice on this table, on the table here, Bounty Hunter, render unconscious for 2 to 8 turns. Well, that's about the same as being dead, except you're unconscious, and then they can they can take you back to the authorities or whatever. If you're unconscious for 2 to 8 turns, that's 20 rounds minimum, right? So I just knocked out. I even have half ogres as bounty hunters. I think that's cool. So here's your classes, your abilities, your alignments, all of a neutral skew. All right, so you got neutral good, neutral evil in there. So you can be whatever you want. Lawful neutral tends to be one that's a lot. Yeah, come on, Dad. You get weapon specialization of 1, +1 +2 damage, and you get 3 attacks every 2 rounds with it at 8th. That weapon only. And then you don't get pickpockets. Your set traps is the same as the thief. That's the Lenlakovkas. And all your other thieves abilities are level 1 2. So you're great at setting traps because you're a bounty hunter. Now, there was a class, I think it called just Hunter? It was the one that the guy was, it was like a Ranger Thief mix in Baldur's Gate 2. And I liked what they did, and I added in these later on where they get these magical, they emulate magic traps. And you can place once per day abilities, and it works real well. Slow trap, hold person trap, Alux resilience, sphere trap, maze trap. There's only one character in the entire campaign that can do that. There's only one 14th level plus bounty hunter running around. The mayor of Altamira. Okay. Sorry, I'm eating my popcorn. You guys don't mind, do you?
No,
Okay.
this is good. Yeah.
Okay. The class works very well. You can also multi-class. And that's where we're going to talk. I don't know if we're going to get into it with the Shadow Mage, but yeah, that works real well this class. You get a lot of assassin abilities, alignment tongues, disguise, using blunt instruments for your backstab, like maces, and you render your victim unconscious for the surprise, and you're able to track as a ranger.
That's a neat combination of skills. I think that are thematically cool. Yeah.
It may, Vamp. It may. So, yeah. So there you go, and that's the bounty hunter. Now,
Yeah.
I have it done in CNC completely. So just know. That's the one I've gotten done, and I said that Steven Schnault liked it. But
I like it that you put in poison, if they're allowed to use poison or not. So, yep.
Yep. So poison only if non-fatal, such as sleep or paralyzation poison.
Okay. Yeah. I need to look into poison rules for my house rulings too. I haven't specified how I want to deal with it. So I need to look into see the different 5e ideas, because there's probably 10 different ways to use poison in various 5e rules. So I need
to absolutely.
look at that. Yep.
I'm not sure what they are. In 5e, but I know that they're good
yeah,
ones.
there's one way to do it in the standard 5e, and then there's another one for advanced 5e, and a third one for there's probably various different ideas of doing it. So I'm going to cherry pick and see. Yeah.
Now let's go to what I think one of the coolest things about Altamira is. So this is for Rob Kuntz's benefit, everyone. Rob, here is Greyhawk City. Okay. Here are your lands of Robalar. Here's Norwell. Here's I have the Dark Druids throughout the Gnarly Forest, and I know you have Robalar down in this area down here, right? Kind of. There's another forest down here. So if we come over through Selene, here's the Free City of Altamira on the border of the Lord Mills, the County of Ulick, the Principality of Ulick. Okay, there we go. That's where it is, and the Sith Forest. Boom. Ooh, gnarly. Now, because Troller Games has aired, right? Just note, we go over to here on the aired map. Why didn't that pop up? There we go. On aired. There's Altamira, base of the Unkered River.
Ooh, look
With
at that.
The
Yeah.
Twilight Woods is the Sus. This whole area is very similar to parts of the Lort Mills. Fontenot is the Elven Realm, which is Selene. It just happens to be south, not north. I've told Chuck and I've told Steven I'm writing up the whole area. There's no write-ups of Fontenot at all, so it's mine after Altamira is done. Okay.
Now
So,
you got an Elven realm too. That's cool.
exactly. Dunyalag is not like anything else, but we can have connections to the low road running throughout this area. But a lot of the stuff ports right over real well. So why do I show this? Popcorn. Why am I showing this? I don't know. Why am I? I'm talking to myself. Okay. Altamira is the base in my Greyhawk for what? The Bounty Hunters Guild. There's one Bounty Hunters Guild that is known of in all of. Whoops, that was bad. Popcorn. Yeah, they are. They are, Rob. Correct. 100%. So, oh man, kumquats. Factions. One sec. Hear me now?
Yep, now we can hear you.
Okay. Lady Mary Charisse is the head of the Bounty Hunters Guild. She is a grandmother of assassins, grandmother bounty hunters, 15th level. Okay? She's also the mayor of Altamira. So the guild here is, I'm trying to find where it is. Here it is. Guilds, Factions, and Secret Societies. Remember, this is a teaser book, and it's available. If you want this for free download, right there, you can go download this. Anyone can. She looks like Betty White. Yeah, I got a full color picture of her. That was done by Dan Smith. Here's the Bounty Hunter Guild. So, contract. They're not killers. They don't take contracts to kill. They take contracts to capture wanted criminals, right? Get information, find things, retrieve things.
That's the bounty. Yeah.
That's the bounty, right?
The classical bounty.
That's the classical bounty. There's no for kill. Now,
and I guess meaning dead or alive, normally, I don't think it meant that they were allowed to kill them, but I guess they still got it even if they found them dead. And I guess whether they checked for who killed them or not, that might be very dubious, so to speak.
Well, what happened in the last Nuclear Meat game, that Heather Hex plays her character Cobra, which is basically Snake Plissken, right? They had to go after two brothers, and alive brought back the bounty was $1,000, 1,000 gold each.
Yeah.
Dead was $250 each. But the trick was, if you all remember that adventure, and it was only like 2 months ago. I think it was right before Gary Con, maybe. They went and they realized that the brothers was an Etten with 2 heads. And you're like, how are we going to bring back an Etten? So they didn't have any choice at that point. I mean, you got to be realistic. You cannot. It's really hard to bring back an Etten back. Yeah. So just note sometimes it works that way. So, guild members accept contracts for capturing and retrieving fugitive or missing persons, intelligence gathering, protection duties. A meticulous, even paranoid screening process weeds out untrustworthy, indiscreet applicants. The roles remain secret, but well-informed outsiders, perhaps 25 bounty hunters in the city. There are bounty hunters that are not the bounty hunter class. Okay? In particular, I have a bugbear and a goblin, you all know. Only one of them is a bounty hunter. The other one's a fighter. And they are known as the best trackers of all of the in Altamira. They're sent on tracking missions all the time. So note we have some humanoids in the game. Just putting it out there. And not a lot know that the Grandmaster is Lady Mary Charisse herself. So it's almost like and it wasn't intentional like this, but she got in a position of politics, and she's been the only mayor that Altamira's ever known. Just the way it is. Like Orgnention has been a mayor for years. Nerf Gaskell has been involved. So, and there you go. So now here's the joke only one person has really gotten it, and that was Stephen Chenault. And that was, the main guild house is underground beneath a warehouse in the Merchant Way near East Side. The sign bears the legend Ace Tomato Company. He was the only one that got that joke. So I guess that was very obscure of me, but I thought it was funny. So there is a guild of bounty hunters. Is there an Assassin's Guild in Altamira? The answer to that is unknown, but probably not, because the Bounty Hunters Guild, if an Assassin's Guild pops up, is going to attempt to eliminate it.
Yeah.
So, anyone get the Ace Tomato Company? No, I don't think so. It's so obscure. Anyone? Bueller? No. All right. It's a movie from the 80s. It is. It's Spies Like Us. Right? They drop out of the sky in the Connex box and they land.
That's a
It's
good
Ace Tomato
movie. I
Company.
like that one. It's an awesome movie.
Yeah. It's Ace Tomato Company. It's Spies Like Us. It's a funny, yeah. So, all right. Now, here's where you have a little fun for Thieves. And I want you guys to all think about this. There's no reason why you can't have multiple Thieves Guilds in the same city. I wouldn't recommend it for Greyhawk. Or if you want to do it, go ahead, Anna. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that's up to the nature of the city. Meaning, if one faction has conquered the whole city, there is only one thief guild. They would not allow anybody else doing it.
Right.
They will come after them with whatever. But it might be that there are 2 or 3 equally powerful one, or there might be someone else who's very powerful but doesn't really care about stuff because they're doing well enough anyway. So if there's on the fringes, there might be several weak ones, but then they should be weak and not be able to set rules, so to speak. And the ones they're not powerful enough to run profiteering or protection rackets. They go around stealing in secret, so to speak, or something like that. So the nature of them will be different too, depending. Oh, you can have like one that runs the city, but there are several ones of, they're like a little group of cat burglars, for instance, that does it to some degree, and they're being supported. Or there might be a thieves guild run by an enemy nation and getting a lot of support and so on. So you can involve a lot of other stuff, meaning they can be run as a guerrilla movement, so to speak, and stealing from only the rich. Like Robin Hood is kind of a thieves guild. If you run a Robin Hood type organization in a city, that will become like a rival thieves guild that is more popular, and the cruel ruler, who is a kleptocrat, and is a thief too, in a sense. So there is many different ways you can kind of tweak it in different ways, so to speak. So there's versions of this you can run.
So the funny thing was on that, the Robin Hood, Robin of Locksley, specifically in Len's Archer article, he says that he's an Archer Grandmaster, not a thief. But I see all his men, except for like the specialty guys, like Will Scarlet.
Exactly, he runs a thieves guild. He runs a wilderness thieves guild,
Right.
but
Bandits
only stealing
perfectly.
but only stealing from the rich. But you
absolutely.
can make like
Neutral
an
good.
urban version of Robin Hood that only steals from the rich in the city, that runs a kind of guerrilla movement against the oligarchs of the city, that runs the city proper, so to speak. And they've taken over one part of the city where no one dares to go at night, because if you're rich, if you're poor, no problem, but if you're rich, then you're in trouble, so to speak. So even the rich don't dare to dress rich. They dress poorly when they go out in the slums of the city or something like that. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with stories like that.
Here is how this came about, and I've told this maybe once or twice before, how the Thieves Guild came about in Altamira. This is in the course of gameplay over 10 years. Okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna scroll back to Highport, and I'm running my one-on-one adventuring with Tim, because he's in the military. He's up in Watertown, New York, and he's stationed up there. I think he's in the 10th Mountain at that time. I'm going up and back every couple months. We're going up there and hanging out with him for weekends, and we're doing this one-on-one adventuring. It's going real well, and this is character Skeeve. So he has this Thieves Guild in Highport he's fighting the slavers with. So Alan and Bill, Alan wants to get involved. So his character Sam goes, I want to get a little sub guild up there too. So he creates this guild. I create all the guild members, right? I create this one. His name is Lord Drarius, and here he is. He's a dual class human, cavalier, like up to 7th level cavalier. I think I made him, but he lost all. He was an idiot. He lost all his lands in the Wild Coast, gambling, womanizing, whatever. He's typical chaotic neutral. Lost everything. I didn't know what to do, so he became a dual class. He dual classed a thief, so he's a cavalier thief. And Sam's got him under his wing. And he's one of the worst thieves in the guild. Whenever he fails pickpocketing someone, he would like break their arm and steal from them all the time. So the worst thief you could possibly have, one that gets caught all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Gets to the point where Alan's character Sam has something awful. I won't go into detail. Has something awful happen to him, so bad that he needed like a regenerate on a body part. I won't tell you what body part. You can guess. He flees Highport back to Altamira. Just leaves all his thieves there. Just leaves the Thieves Guild. Leaves them to their own, doing. Pretty shitty for a guildmaster to do, right? This guy, Darius, goes, that MFer, I'm going to secret, can't stupid people get stuff in their head and then they just run with it. He's like, I'm going to seek revenge on this guy if it's the last thing I ever do. Finds out he's in Altamira, and he goes to Altamira, and he forms the first Thieves. When he gets higher level, gets up to like 13th level thief, he forms the first Thieves Guild. The Robber Knight Lord Darius the Deposed leads a small but seasoned crew of cutthroats, pilferers, second-story men, and freebooters, mostly humans. Exiled from his home, stripped of knightly gear, and attained by court of chivalry. This is written for air. Just remember that. It's converted. Darius took up a life in Graxmore and then failed poorly in trade. He mastered. And then it talks about Sam, who later betrayed and abandoned the guildsman and since has harbored unreasonable prejudices against the short folk. Isn't it great what you can do in this course of role play over decades?
Yeah.
So, his hostility extends to even gnomes and dwarves. Darius does not permit halflings or gnomes to join the Altamiran Guild, and he charges up to steep fee for dwarves. None have signed up. So there are no short people allowed in the guild in Altamira. It is a purely human, elf, half-elf, dark elves, couple are involved, half-orcs. Halfling and gnome freelance thieves tend to vanish in the night. He's so, but there's no evidence that connects Darius directly to any murders or kidnappings. So there you go. Yeah, I changed it. And this is where I'm gonna show you, Rob. We had to change it slightly. Darius' hatred of runts has attracted the hostile attention of a second criminal outfit here because of that. So I've created this guild. He's got this long-term plot arc where he's leaving Sam alone in the city, but he's going to seek revenge on him at some point. Now, if you remember, we did an adventure on Thieves after the joust where there was a fight between both guilds. And you remember, like, Heather was involved. Bones had her character in there. Darling had 2 characters in that one. Rosie was almost kidnapped by them. Let's go to our best dragon. I'm telling you, this is why it's the best of all time. I've shown this Alan, you get a kick out of this whenever I show it. Dragon 60. Why don't I have the Dragon 60? I have the cut of it, but I don't have Dragon 60 in here. Give me 1 second. I got to go to the Dragon Magazine subfolder. I thought I had it in my folder that I'm doing this out of. Let me go to Dragon 60. Great Dragon Magazine, and we're going to show. Yes, here we go. Now, the Jester's in here too. Elves are in here. There's so much greatness in this one dragon. That's why I say it's the best one ever. All about elves is in here. Roger Moore's just the entire Dragon 60 is almost Roger Moore. The Jester's in here. The Ballard ability, Darmood / Jest is in here. And then there is on page 50 one of the funniest articles of all time. And there's the Jester. So the Jester's right here. As you can see the spells for it. The Jester class is there. And then right after it is Midgets in the Earth. Right? You have 80 Little Daddy Smitman, Mork the Orc, and then You've Been Had.
Yeah,
right?
it's spelled that way. It's awesome. I
it's-
love that sketch too.
It
that
is.
little portrait. Yeah.
So this is one of 2 things. I can't use the name Order of Ulick, and I can't use Spunk. Short People's Union for Nefarious Kleptomaniacs, right? Which it says right here, it's his group. But I love this so much. Spunk has been in my campaign since this came out, in like
Mhm.
the early 80s. We've always had Spunk roaming about. We've actually had adventures with Ubin Had in them. So I had to change Ubin Had's name, right, to, as we go here, the Short People's Org for Nefarious Kleptomaniacs. All right, I switched it. Done. Has recently established a chapter in Altamira and has already become embroiled in conflict with the Guild of Thievery, which is Drarius's. Membership is open to any thief of 4 feet in height or less, mostly halflings, gnomes, and dwarves, but any sufficient small person, even a human, could join if it possesses skills and attitudes Spunk looks for in members. These diminutive criminals favor a bold, direct approach to larceny and show no fear of fighting their taller rivals. So I've set up a Thieves Guild War in Altamira for when the box set comes out for you all to have fun with. All right. Many such classes have happened, and I put, most notoriously, a late-night brawl broke out at the Violet-Eyed Lady, true, because it was right on our stream, during celebrations after the Grand Joust. Rumors indicate the Grandmaster of Spunk, and I changed the name from Ubin Had to You Were Taken. I had to change it, right? I can't use Ubin Had. Has arrived in the city for a guild war against the bigoted Lord Darius and his thieves. There you go. All right. Yeah, you like that? So there you go. So Dave, that's how you set up stuff. I want a little comedy, right? I throw a little comedy in there where You Were Taken, but a little seriousness. And this all came about because of what happened in Highport. I'm going to say it's got to be I'm going to say 92 or 93 that actually happened. So 30 years ago, that happened, and it just has rolled since then because Altamira was founded in 87. So he went there. There was no guild really organized. He went there and organized a guild from what happened in gameplay. And that's what I would suggest. I would suggest get a charismatic figure who's on their bad side and put them in to a leadership position in the Thieves Guild and make them a thorn in the side of the player characters. That's what I would do, and that's what I did here. So,
Mhm.
yep. And that's it. And now we have a war setup part, and we've done it on stream. They're actually fighting out on the jousting field. If you watch that stream, so putting that in with the Bounty Hunters Guild, as well as another guild of them, you got 3 guilds. Now there's no reason when you get this. Could there be an Assassin's Guild too? Of course. Could there be a Beggars Guild? John at Blue Box was making one up for me, and so I'm going to get back with him because this was a teaser one, and we may put a Beggars Guild in here too. So, yep. What are the stats for You Were Taken? Yes, he has the same stats as Ubin Had. Absolutely, yeah.
And it's kind of and I think one guiding principle is that if you want to have cool conflict down the line, you need to introduce and work on the factions before they become. Meaning, if you want a major conflict between the Thieves Guild and an upcoming Beggars Guild, you need to create the faction and get them into the story long before they need to have a history before the conflict starts, is my opinion, because then it makes much more interesting, and you should kind of build up to it.
Yep.
The characters and the players might not understand it or even know about it until all of a sudden the chaos just hits. But afterwards, they should be able to kind of go back and follow the history, so to speak. So I think it's good world building. If war don't come, they might start with a bang, so to speak, but there is almost always underlying factors that have been around, and the factions that fight a war aren't invented when the war starts. They should have a history before the war starts, so to speak. And that's why I think you should always, as a DM, when you work on your campaign, you should start making the factions and put them in there, or give them a history that makes sense, so to speak, and then you can enter them into the fray, so to speak.
And I'll give you another example that's not Thieves. Okay, Rob, I'm kissing your butt now.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to kiss your butt for about a minute and a half. Give me one
I would
second
say
here.
an example of what I'm talking about is that you can introduce a beggars guild. That in the
Yep.
beginning, all they're doing is to
Why
rent,
didn't it come up?
to hire, to get some rights and protection for beggars. They are not asking for any big political influence or whatever. They're just trying to
Come
make
on.
street life a little bit safer for beggars, so to speak, and basically just have the right
Oh,
to
I'm in the wrong
beg.
folder.
And
That's
and
why.
if that goes wrong and doesn't work, then all of a sudden they kind of, or if they get that right, they might become more ambitious or some other thing, so to speak. So they can kind of get into the power game much later, so to speak. They can start as a noble kind of aid or union for the beggars to make sure that they get a more decent life. And then when they get more power, they can turn and become the new Thieves Guild, up and coming Thieves Guild or something. So yeah.
I've done the same thing with Dark Druids in the Gnarly Forest. Slowly introducing them in, not throwing out the super high level. Like
Yeah.
they
Mm-hmm.
found these stones with skulls
Yeah.
and certain
Mm-hmm.
special glowing lights, misbegotten creatures, and a couple different sect members at lower level. Introducing them into that and building it up, because that whole sect is going to be, with Narwhal Headhunters, going to be an
Mm-hmm.
issue going forward.
Yeah.
And that's where, so Robert's Dark Druids is a big part of
Mm-hmm.
my campaign here too.
Yeah. And, and
Yes.
and one way of doing it is that you can talk about it like in past tense. They used to be dark druids. They used to
Right.
be this cult of dark
Hmm.
druids, like they were existed hundreds of years ago. And you find ancient ruins, and all of a sudden, bang, they come because they've been in hiding for a century, and now they come out again, or something like that. So
No, and
so
it's a
you
great,
yeah.
absolutely, or they've come back for some
Mm-hmm.
reason,
Yeah.
right?
So
That's
so there are
another.
many, there are different
Yeah,
ways you can spin this in different ways, so to speak. So yeah.
yeah. I'm
And
gonna open
smart
up.
players should be able to go and research and find clues and stuff to this happening and whatnot and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so there's a lot of options. So just note
Mhm.
now, if you got a new group, and you can develop your background on why the Thieves Guild's there and what's special about it. You
Yeah.
know, mine, because of certain gameplay, Drarius is so paranoid, he does not want any small folk in his guild. He doesn't trust them
Hmm.
because of Sam.
Yeah.
So from there, that caused, when that was, and they're starting to find them and kill them. That's when Spunk comes in, because they know, like, hey, someone's
Hmm.
got to stand up for them, and that's
Yeah.
how that came in. Because when I saw that article all those years ago from Roger Moore, I was like, holy, this is hysterical.
Yeah.
If you read through it, it's so funny. And I was like,
Hmm.
I like humor in my game. So just note, that's Dave. That's how it all came about. Now it can come out 100 different. You can be more serious if you want,
Hmm.
and there's a serious aspect to,
Well, yeah, you can be
killing.
serious and still have
Yeah,
laughs and stuff in your game.
yeah.
So even I have laughs occasionally in my game
You
too,
gotta
even if
have
they're
them here
great.
and there. It's
Oh
just,
yeah. Hmm.
So so with that, another. I'm only going to touch this for like about a minute or two. How do you further enhance your thieving abilities? Well, the number
That's
one
a
way,
good point. Yeah.
spells, right?
Hmm.
Which means you need to have a multi-class option. So an illusionist is good, but with the
Yeah,
rules
but
sets,
you always remember, even in old school, thieves had the ability to cast
not till
to
10th
read
level.
scrolls. Yeah, so but eventually, so they had a little tie-in to magic as well, so to speak. One of the
Right.
few non-spell casting classes that had a
Yeah.
magical ability, so to speak.
And assassins can use them too at higher level. I
Yeah.
think
Hmm.
12th. So they can use
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
They can
Yeah,
use
they were kind of
scrolls.
it would almost be like a subclass or a split
Hmm.
class or whatever they called them in
Yep.
Assassin, is a variant of the thief class. Yeah.
So, but at lower level, being able to hide better, being able to
Hmm.
sneak around. I have gotten away from giving out a lot of invisibility items. You know how Mike Disney's always joke. What's up, clever? Mike Disney's joke is, "Where's my cloak of invisibility?" I said, "Well, do you put on the cloak right there and close
Yeah.
your eyes? Now you don't. No one
Hmm.
sees you. You know,
Yeah.
it is a joke and all. I've been going away from that because they get overused. So if you
Yeah.
have and I came up with a Shadow Mage class. Now this is gonna
Hmm.
I'm trying to get this in the Altamira book too, box set too, and the Shadow Mage is its own subclass of spellcaster. It's got its own spell list. I could not do it without the Relic and Rituals books. So a lot of spells from this. Remember, Alan Grohe wrote a lot of these too. The Necromancer spells and the
Yeah.
Shadow Mage spells, which is ironic. I didn't know that. So and there is what's called Shadow Dancers is in Forgotten Realms, and all sorts of other classes on that. And I took some of the abilities from that night vision ability and their aura ability, that they can put an aura of darkness around them, help them hide better. So I stole some of that stuff from the special abilities of that. It works real well with the Shadow Mage. Here's the one exception. There are a couple. Like Bard was the first prestige class, right? Fighter, thief, bard. Correct, Anna? Like in
Yeah.
first edition.
Hmm. We
So
need to get back to invisibility and stuff.
yeah, we can do that. Sure, absolutely.
When you have you need to get back to it
I
because it's
allow the thief, the bounty hunter, and the assassin,
yeah.
if you allow them, any unlawful, to
Mm-hmm.
be multi-class as a shadow mage.
Okay,
Okay.
that's cool.
Yes. So shadow mage thief, shadow mage bounty hunter, shadow mage assassin.
Yeah.
Now, in Altamira, there's this dark tower, circular, all made out of a weird stone or metallic, almost like meteorite steel, black,
Yeah.
with no door entrances in, and shadow mages all around are drawn to it. And then, if you notice, a lot of shadow mages have that special brooch with all the different colored gems in it, gem sockets. You've seen so many adventures. It seems like this person, whoever's inside that tower, is directing them and building up the power of all these shadow mages. Long-term plot arc. That's all I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Shadow Mage, exactly. You like that's it, Rob.
Yeah.
So and note, like Rob gets it. Rob gets it. He created the Dark Druid, and he created class rules for him because there was a need for it in Rob's game. There was a need for it for bounty hunters and shadow mages and all sorts of other things in mine, and specialty priests in mine. Let's talk about invisibility, Anna. What do you
Well,
want?
yeah. So we have the meaning invisibility is not like a catch-all in my game, so to speak. You can have you can get like a cloak of invisibility, and that works if you just want to hide among humans. You can sit in a corner of a square and they wouldn't see you. But try to sneak into a dragon doing it, or a demon lord, or something like that, because they have senses that are way different, so to speak. They might see in ethereal, someone who can see in ethereal sense, or they can sense alignments and stuff. They will sniff you out in heartbeat, so to speak, and you will stand out as a sore thumb, because that thing only works for normal vision. So it's that sense depends on, meaning the tools depends on what threat you're trying to, or what sense you're trying to fool, so to speak. So you might work on one or two senses, but like old dragons and stuff, they have what they call true sense. So they can sense magic and they can sense the ethereal at once, so to speak. So they can zoom out, and in one area they can basically see what's true, so to speak. But on the other hand, that means that they are blind to anything that is far away. So that means that you can sneak up on them from a distance if they use that sense. So there's no complete sense that makes sense of everything under any circumstance. It's more like you have to pick the thing you want to see, so to speak, and that means that you open up another blind spot. So a cloak of invisibility is really good for some situations and terrible in other situations, because that means that if you have a demon lord that looks out over that a lot of people, if you're the invisible person, they might see, oh, that's someone who I can't see with regular vision, but when I see ethereal or something like that, then you stand out, so to speak. So then it might be much better to just blend in like a normal person. So it's much more situational. Who's your enemy? How they're able to detect you and stuff. So that to me is good game design, in that sense that you have to pick your battles, and you have to use the right tool for the right job, and you can't be sure all the time if it is the right tool, so to speak.
Good. Yeah, and that's so you can nuance is great, right, in the game.
Yeah.
And as a DM, you have a lot of
But on the other hand, you might not want to have a lot of complexity. You might want to have it simple. You're visible, you're invisible, it's simple. Yeah, keep it simple, don't mess it up, and don't complicate things. That's another way to go, because I try to simplify the game mechanics, but on the other hand, I complicate the kind of the flavor of the rules, so to speak. So things like senses and magic and stuff like that. I want more bells and whistles on that and simplified dice rolling. But some people might want the other stuff, so to speak. They might want to have a little bit more crunch and more mechanics, and don't want to mess with 10 different types of magic and and weird senses that do different things that I have to think about, really think through, so to speak. So it depends on, put your emphasize the aspects of the game you like, and have as much or as little complexity in these areas as you like, so to speak. You might like it crunchy when it comes to rules mechanics, or you might want to have it very light, or you might want to have so and so much flavor in certain areas. You want to have very simple combat, or you might want to have very gritty combat, meaning you have crit tables, for instance. That's one way of complicating the combat, because you like the thematic of making crits and having more of this descriptive and cool stuff in combat. So you put more emphasis in certain parts of the combat by adding the crit tables. It adds a bit of complexity, but it also adds a lot of flavor to the game. So that's, and you only have so much game time, so you simply have to decide where do you want to spend it on, so to speak, emphasize on. And if you do something more, that means that you do something else less.
Right, and note that my game, I'm thinking about how it translates to stream a lot more than others.
Exactly. That's also other requirements, meaning con games, streamed games, and long-term home games.
Convention games, especially.
Exactly. Meaning, they have different requirements, so to speak. Do you have an audience that you need to keep interested, or is it just the players? Are the players, or players that your best friends you played with for 40 years, like Jay, blessed with that? That means that you can go 10 dimensions deep in certain areas where all the players they like to have 60 classes, deep crit tables, and stuff like that. If you just want to run a convention games for people you've never seen before, then it's better to have standardized rules that they know beforehand, so you don't have to teach them the rules. And then that's what I'm breaking, but I'm going to talk about that later. But so different types of games have different needs, so to speak, and also the type of stories. Open-end games, or do you want to tell a story with a cool ending and stuff like that? Do you want epic big combat, or do you want to have lots of, meaning you might want to have traps more interesting, or puzzles and stuff like that, have a lot of mechanics for that to make that more interesting, or you just rule them on the fly, so to speak.
Rob, if you're on our Phantom, or Curtis, if you're with Rob, let me know the minute you guys are live, so that for raid purposes, we'll hang in till you
skill. And tying into Thieves, skills is one of these things that is interesting, because they were not in the original game. And if you look at CNC, it's not in regular CNC as well. You just have the abilities, and you just make the DM just to say, well, that's a strength roll, that's a dex roll, that's an intelligence roll, or something, instead of having skills. And that's perfect fine. If you don't want to dig deep into skills and complicate it, just use the 6 abilities and off you go.
Or if you don't have a skill, apply the right ability. I am not a perception guy at all. Intelligence or wisdom based on the situation.
Exactly. You can do that. And that's basically the perception I would use too. And depending on the sense, it might normally be wisdom, but in some sense it might be charisma, or it might be will, depending on me. Meaning, if you want to see something using alignment detection, for instance, that might be a wisdom check. Or it might be a charisma check. It's something you go with your gut feeling. It's something you feel in your tummy. So you make a perception using charisma instead of wisdom in that sense, or something else. You might whatever. So it might be, or if you have like a tremor sense, that might be using constitution or something. You feel it in your bones rather than hearing things or seeing things. So you can tweak things a little bit on the fly, or you can make it super crunchy beforehand, so to speak, or you can just come up with it as fly by the seat of your pants as a DM. As long as you can make it a logical thing. And also, if you can keep some consistency, because players don't like when you switch the rules, especially if you as a DM say, oh, now it's beneficial for me to be use charisma in this sense. So then you say charisma. And sometimes later on, when you have a character has really high charisma, then you switch it out and say, oh, it's wisdom. So make sure you don't use the rules against the players. That's the important bit. It needs to
True.
be, yeah. So you need to punish yourself as much as you punish the players with the rules. Then, and also keep some sort of consistency is my advice.
So we're going to show you a couple other places where you can get some good
Yeah,
data from. Let me make
yeah.
sure I have the
I'm
right
sorry I went
ones.
on the limb
No,
here,
it's
but I'm
great.
thinking about rules. So yeah.
No, it's great. All right, here
Yeah.
are three. Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
going to go over these because there's a lot of information, but I'm going to show them to you and you can get more
Yeah.
information out of them. All right. And so the first one is, of course, let me get to it. Where is it? Okay. The Complete Thieves
Oh,
Handbook.
thank you, Dosarius. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're great. The Complete Thieves
Oh,
Handbook, second
that's a
edition.
good one.
Yeah.
It's super good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of those books are good, but that's one of the best ones.
It
Yeah.
is. Because look, in this section here, page
Mhm.
51, what is a Thieves Guild anyway? Right?
Yeah.
So, and it gives you a lot of more if you want to
Mhm.
get, you can get as detailed as you want into your Thieves Guild,
Yeah.
talking about membership, social
Exactly. It's a
background, all
lot
that.
more than mechanics. And,
Right.
and it's actually the other stuff that
Yep.
beyond the mechanics that are the coolest in these books in some, because they're useful for any fantasy role-playing game, not only second edition D&D or first edition. They work for any D&D or fantasy-esque game.
Right, and it goes over other abilities, proficiencies you can have, and kit types here. Is Thug even in here? Thug is in here. Yeah, it's probably the same. But look, you got swashbucklers in here too, and I made it well before I even knew this book existed.
Yeah.
So you got beggars in here too, bounty hunters in here too, but it's totally different than mine. Trust me.
Yeah.
Assassins in here, and you got
Mhm.
adventurer, acrobat.
Yeah.
They throw them all in here. Scouts in here, but
Mhm.
like so, there's plenty of. This is a good book, and the
Yeah.
download's pretty cheap.
And it's
So
available Drive Through RPG as PDF, I think.
yeah,
See if I can find it for
yeah, I
like,
did, Curtis. I mentioned the scout class with Tim. I did
yeah.
absolutely. I think that was when you stepped away. No big deal. Yeah, I did mention that. Okay, next, Den of Thieves. Okay, this is second edition era as well. Okay, who wrote this? This is Wes Nicholson. Okay, and this talks about a lot of things in the other one, but it goes more into the details of guild associates, the street toughs. It has adventures in here, which is cool. Some appendices on some items and all. This one goes into the more crunch, not the development background. This is more crunch on this one. So with specific adventures in it. Activities like, hey, dancing girls, blackmail, pickpocketing, loan
Mhm.
sharking, all those. So organized crime skills, so abilities
Yeah.
and activities. So this is a good one too. This is during the
Mhm.
second edition era. I've given this
Yeah.
away actually. I thought I had one here. I don't. I was going to specifically put that in my giveaway list, but I checked through this pile. That is, it took me about an hour to go through them all. Just kidding. But I couldn't. I must have given it away a little while ago. And then the third one is this is Necromancer Games. So thank you for the follow. Is a Lamentation of Thieves. Okay, and this is more of an adventure, an adventure path style game. But it's pretty cool. Anything Necromancer Games did in the third edition era is gold. So yeah, and you can adapt this into your Greyhawk fairly easily. I've never run it, but it is a series of, and the Bone Garden's mentioned in here, which is another big place that there's another here's Hawk Moon, so something to consider as well with this. I think there's some sea-based parts of it too. Yeah, has anyone run it? Dale, have you done this? As sure if anyone has
I
dealt with it,
haven't
as sure
used it.
is yeah. So Denethy's
But the
interesting.
sword and sorcery books from
Yeah.
Necromancer are good. Yeah.
Oh, it does link to Denethy's links to Bruce Cordell, which is good. Yeah. Yeah, the dancing girls who are not dancing girls. So very cool. Yeah. No, you have not. Okay. All right. So it's a cool thing too. So there's three other places you can get Thieves information out of for your game. A lot of this can come common sense, and like I said, if you want to go right to the basis, the beginning, this is where you go. you go to the Free City Greyhawk box set because they're detailed. The thieves are in
Mhm.
there. They're detailed.
And
They're
it
old
ties
school.
into Greyhawk.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
thing. If
This is
you,
where you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
It's
I
where
mean,
I went
otherwise
when I
they
started.
are generic. There are many other fantasy cities like Ptolus, and they're
Yeah.
the old ones, what they called the one that was early on, even before this. It was a box set. I forgot what it was set, but it was had a red and white
Oh,
box on the
you
outside.
got me on that one. Now I know which one you're
Yeah,
talking
it
about.
was. Yeah, it was not
Freeport is
Freeport is another one. This was
yeah.
one I forgot what it, but it was a city box
Well,
set
Invincible
that was
Overlords is
earlier.
or World Emperor are the other ones too,
Yeah.
where there's a lot of thievery
Hmm.
going on.
Yeah.
So
So
Freeport,
meaning
yeah.
there have been many city box
Mhm.
sets and city description, fantasy
Yep.
city descriptions with thieves guilds and stuff in it. But the Grey City of Greyhawk is the best one, especially for us Greyhawk gamers, because it is Greyhawk. So yeah. Haven.
So
Yeah, Haven is another one. Yeah.
so
And then we have the Gord books as well. Saga of Old
right.
City,
Uh,
City of Thieves, or
What you
City
can
of
get,
Hawks. Sorry, yeah.
yeah, Haven. Yep. So what you get the feel from the Gore books, you get the feel on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know.
And here you get the details, and you get all
Right,
of it.
right.
Yeah.
You get
Mm-hmm.
the true feel of what
Yep.
it would be like to be on the inside
Yep.
of
Mm-hmm.
of a conflict
And
um,
the first
as a
Saga of Old
grunt.
City, the first like 4 or 5 chapters, at least, or maybe even half the book, is just City of Greyhawk. And then you have the City of Hawks that came out later, that is basically the same story told from a different perspective, but you get to see what actually happened behind the scenes, which is another cool way of looking at it at a fantasy campaign, because first you get the face value from the player's perspective, and the second you get the thing from the DM's perspective, meaning
Right.
why did it actually happen, who was Leda, Gord's hapless mother, so to speak, and stuff like that, and why it happened, so to speak, and who was Gord really, and stuff like that. So Gary shows a really good storytelling skills in those books. He might not be the best writer in the world, but he's definitely a good storyteller, and it's a lot of Greyhawk, meaning it is Greyhawk written by Gary. So it's a great compliment. And then get the city box set as well as a PDF.
So Thieves World
Yeah.
also and the Myth books, which are very
Mm-hmm.
comical by
Yeah.
Aspirin, are good places for Thief stuff as well. And that's where
Yeah.
Tim got Skeeve. He ripped the name
Mm-hmm.
Skeeve right from out of that. So
Okay.
he's a
Yeah.
mage thief, yeah. And
Yeah.
but there's a lot of fun things that happen in those books.
Mm-hmm.
Thieves World's a lot more
Yeah.
serious.
And then
So
watch movies like Lady Hawk that has a thief
yeah,
in it. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yep.
also the
Well,
Conan
that's it.
movies has a thief
Yeah.
in especially I think it's the second movie, that when they really are D&D party and there is a
Oh
thief,
yeah,
so
yeah,
much D&D thief
yeah.
that he's spot on. They follow the player's handbook to the letter, so to speak.
Yeah, I've read almost every Sam. I read almost every myth book twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Silk from the Bulgaria. There's another one. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of places to go to get your inspiration, but I still say and we didn't talk even about, and I don't know, and if I've been trying to get Ed to lock down a date for May, but I know he's really
Okay.
busy right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see Ed
Yeah.
in 2 Saturdays, but to have a discussion. So
Mm-hmm.
there's probably a
Hopefully we can
lot
get
of
him
stuff
on
in
again.
Forgotten Realms about thieves
Oh
that I
yeah,
just don't know
definitely.
about.
Yeah.
So what other questions might you have? As we're going to hang out
Yeah.
a little bit, as
Mm-hmm.
Phantom NJ will come on as early as possible, needed for us to accept his raid, because he's going to have a special game tonight. It's a Council Crusades game with Curtis, Brett, Coco Bunny, and Little Bird in the game. So we're going to definitely hold on for that tonight and raid into that. But any other questions or comments about the evolution of thieves, classes, enhancements, guilds, something about Altamira, I'd be more than happy to answer it. And note that the teaser book does not have the bounty hunter class in it, because it wouldn't be a teaser book then. So just note we're waiting on that. I
Yeah.
recall reading somewhere recently that someone used the Thieves World Sanctuary box set for their own Safeton. Yeah, but Blue,
Thieves World, that was the one I was thinking
yeah,
about. Yes.
Robert Aspirin.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. And it's good. It's good. And like I said, the
Yep.
myth books that come out after that are a separate series of stories, and they're really comical. And there's some thievery
Yeah.
going on in that. I recall
Yeah.
an old Sentinel class from Dragon. Yes, Justinius, I have. In fact, it's I don't know if it's on my list. Hold on one sec.
I was going to say, Thieves turned into rogues for 3rd edition. That's what
Yes, they do.
we
They
sort of,
call
yeah.
them rogues at that point.
Yeah.
Let me 1 second here. Classes. Classes and races.
And then I think they've been called rogues ever since. Yep.
Let me make sure I bring the right thing up. Okay. All right. Let me see if it's on here. Good question. All right. So, Greg, let's look down. This is my cross-reference chart with the source where everything comes from. We go down to Sentinel here. Sentinel's on my list of classes, but it's got a nice asterisk next to it. Human half elf, Dragon Magazine 89, NPC class only. So this is like the ultimate guard. What I allow this is that, for example, the group that just adventured, the Night Stalkers, that are in Altamira, they have a large 2-story warehouse. They even got a bar in there. Most of their members live in that place. They have hired a Sentinel as their main bouncer / guard. So I use this class as the best of all of the protectors you could actually hire, and that's Dragon 89. It makes for a boring player character. It does. So we play tested it as a PC once when it came out, and I'm like, this isn't going to work. And all my players are like, you're right. Let's just stick that to NPC only. If you look through this list, it is the only class that has that asterisk. Everything else has been approved for player character except that one. So there you go. I hope that answers your question there. Good question on the Sentinel. Samurai, yeah, we never gone to Kensai, Sword Saints, Samurais, Dale. They would make great classes. They just don't fit my medieval style of D&D. So we have different things. Justinius, you missed Dragon? There is so much Dragon out there and dungeon magazines that it's enough for a lifetime.
Oh yeah, I've gone back and reread them again, so I think I'm like somewhere around 50 or so.
The Visions of Greyhawk and the Grey Grimoire should be enough now. There's some great stuff in them. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can take and add into your game from multiple sources that I have done. And you take something like, man, I think I want to bring this in as a class. Well, play test it, NPC it, or play test it as an enemy, or play test it as an NPC in the group, or let one of your players play the character class and see where it goes. So, yeah, that's what I would do. Oh, I get it. I just don't allow, or I don't either. I don't allow any of those in my game either. Maybe one day I throw them in as they travel somewhere in the world and they exist. So. There is some great stuff in White Dwarfs. In fact, we discussed a lot of the stuff on the Necromancer in White Dwarfs, Sam Curtis, a couple weeks ago, after we had Anthony Huso on, and Alan Grory and I talked about Necromancers. We were talking about all the White Dwarf stuff. Absolutely, there's good stuff in there too. So great question there, Greg. For me, there's so many classes your players can be that you can. Yep, absolutely. Things are going great, Jeff. You missed a great discussion, but it'll be on YouTube. So. Note, I wanted to bring out a short on Thieves, and I just didn't have I didn't have the energy today to do anything until tonight. So I may do it tomorrow. So just so you're aware. What other questions you have is we're waiting for Rob, and then we'll start doing shout outs. So let me see. As soon as he pops up, we'll know, and we're gonna raid into Phantom NJ. And please stick around for a good game tonight. And please follow Rob. That would be great at Phantom NJ. So. Gary Gygax made great articles. Rob Kuntz made great articles. Len Lakofka made great articles. Roger Moore made great articles. All of them. All of them made great articles. Ed Greenwood's got great Dragon Magazine articles.
Yes.
He does. Yep. Well, what's a laggard, Dale? I'm confused. I don't know what that means. You just know he's got a laggard. I'm sorry. Energy pool into. Oh, someone's slow to join. Well, he better not at this late at night. But I think their game was supposed to start at 9:30. It could be. You know what it could be? It could be Birds coming home from work.
Oh,
as a nurse. That's probably what it is. But he's still going to bring it up though. The overwinking eye articles by Ed inspired me so much. We describing. Yep. All right. I'm trying to think here. We're waiting here. All right. Let me do this, Anna, as we're waiting.
Oh
We're
yeah,
finishing up here.
no problem.
Tidbit time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Tidbit here. Let's.
Now we got some time here.
We got
Yep.
some time for a tidbit or two. If you don't read anything else in this, read my forward, please. I want to show you how innocuous things happen when you play with your friends and it turns into something. Don't let an opportunity go to waste. Don't ever throw out any booklet. Don't ever throw out any piece of paper in D&D,
Mm-hmm.
because this should have never even happened. But of course, Tim killed all the characters from the second game we did that weekend in 2 rounds, except for Gazumba and Skeeve. No, Fencing. It was Fencing. Gazumba, that was it. So read how Altamir came about because of Tim being a killer DM. Right here. You may find this for free download because it is a little sneak peek at and there's also other stuff to download there too from Troy. Yeah, so please read that. It talks about all right, something else that's fun in here that we haven't discussed. All right. We've seen these. I want to talk about this too. So the entire adventure from in 2 weeks that we had, we have the wedding. The adventure I did at GaryCon was this group, the Sealed Fates, where they kidnapped Josh's character, Carl Spacklerleaf. They got a hold of him, and we're going to. They kind of set a trap for the adventuring group, which was the Slav Squad and Venarium Vord. So just note that group is actually in the book here, the Sealed Fates. They are dwarven bandits, which I think is cool. The dwarves are fighting other humanoids because they just don't, they got their own agenda. They're neutral, right? Maybe it's some evil, and they're hill dwarves. So and this ports right over to Aird. Their leader is named Meth the Brilliant Nose because he got his nose cut off in a combat and he puts gems instead in his place of his nose. So he has nose that are like gems. His favorite is like aquamarines. So there you go. Yep. So Greg played in that adventure. Real mean dude. And with this, their prince is the prince trying to reclaim Dunyalag, which is on that map. Now, Dunyalag has never been written up by. Give you a little history on. Let me go to the right thing. I'll show you the map again. Okay. Here is Dunyalag, Deep Home. So it's right in this a mountain, not far from Altamira. So this was a simple. Since I made the name of my Prince of Ulick up before there were names in 83 box set, right, Anna? There were no names. So mine's Prince Dorak II. Mm-hmm. It was easy to pour them over to frickin' Aird because I made the name up, right? So they're all Deep Home is abandoned for some unknown reason, and it's levels upon levels. These dwarves are only interested in reclaiming this. Well, Altamir didn't exist then, so they see this whole. And they see the other dwarves that are mining in the area as interlopers they're just kind of almost like the dwarves in Lord of the Rings where like, this is ours and no one else's, right? Kind of that greed aspect. So that's what's going on there with the Sealed Fates. They're the bandit wing of and they exist in both Greyhawk, my Greyhawk, and Aird now. So there you go. There rumors place Sealed Fates hideouts throughout the mountains, and their numbers are estimated to be around 40. So, there you go. Dream his nose back. He could dream his nose back, but isn't it cooler to have a gem so people remember you? All right. Did any of you ever watch The Shield on FX with Michael Chiklis? Someone out there. I want to hear one person say yes. Back in the 90s, it's cool. Yes. Do you remember when he put the guy's face on the stove, the electric stove? Right. He put the guy's face on the electric stove, and the guy basically wanted him to do it because now he's got the scar from the cop, and he's like, "This is what they did to me," right? That's how crazy. So that's the same thing with this guy. He's got his nose cut off. It's cooler to have a gem nose. So yeah, yeah. The Shield. It was on. It was on in the '90s through the early 2000s. Yep. It was on FX. Yep. It was very cutting edge for its time. So just giving you a little. Or I'll give you another example. Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York. He's got a glass eye that he cut out himself, but it's got on the eye. It's got the United States with the flag on it in his eyeball. There you go. So, just some ideas there. All right, Rob. I hope you're getting. It's 9:09. We're going to start doing shout outs here and giveaways. So, it was interesting. Rob loves illusionists. It's your job to change that perception. So cool. Any other questions before Anna and I start doing some shout outs, and then we'll do 2 giveaways, and then we'll raid into Phantom NJ. You can virtually hug all of us anytime you want.
Awesome.
Yep. I'm going to just
Thank
send him
you.
a message. Can you
Yeah.
be live in some fashion by 9:15 p.m.? All right. There we go. Just wanted to send that. Trying to virtually hug all. All right. So, no other questions. I hope you enjoyed this discussion.
Yeah, I hope
You
it
know,
was informative, inspiring, and kind of interesting. Yeah.
yeah, we got a lot. We went through a lot, and
Yeah.
like I said,
Mhm.
more of it will be coming out. 10 Oboways. Very cool. And just note that
Thanks.
more.
Yeah.
This will, like I said, please download it, look through it, give me your feedback, and then we're going to hopefully have the Kickstarter 4th quarter. We should, and get cranking on this, and by GaryCon next year, have something in our hand that's a box set. It's gonna be exciting.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. So let's do some shout outs here. I'm going to close out. Dragon 60 is top 3 of all time. I say it's number 1. It's close to the top one of ever with all that great stuff in it. Like I said, it's all Roger Moore. The Jester, the elves, the midgets in the earth, it's all Roger Moore. It's crazy how much of it's Roger. So, yeah. Dragon 60 is awesome. All right, Anna, what's going on with you?
Well, first I'm setting up a game for GameholeCon.
Nice.
So I will run a game at GameholeCon. So I will be setting Shield Lens, of course, because that's where I'm working, have my campaign at the moment. So we'll tie it in. It will be tie into my campaign story without being directly involved, so to speak. And the game will be, I will run session 0 and probably 1 session before the convention. I will run as an online game, and then a 6-hour session during the convention. So I will bring my I've dusted off my tactiles, and I will have
Perfect.
them and dry erase markers, and I will get a bunch of a big set of new counters that I can write on using my dry erase markers. So it will be like the way I used to, and I'm also experimenting with using that for online games. So I'm rigging a webcam on top of it, and then we'll see if that's. So I'm trying to see if that could work to make it really simple and easy way to run games online as well. And otherwise, I'm working like crazy with the GIS. So I'm doing some hours per day on the GIS. So this summer there will be a first preview version of my Greyhawk Flannies Hypnoland map set in GIS. And I'm also soliciting some help. So there might be other aspects to GIS that can go faster if I can receive help. So that's very, very promising in that sense. I'm also making some, meaning I had a problem with World Machine 4. That's still not solved, but I figured out something to do in World Machine 3 that I didn't know how to do before. So that is, I can now work with lakes in a way that I couldn't before. So I had a problem that I now solved. So I've made a big progress there, and on the end of using World Machine 3. And the good thing with that is that it works really well for large scale maps. So now I'm getting tempted to fill in the gaps. If I can't do the super detailed map over really large areas, I might be able to do less detailed map over very large areas instead in the meantime, so to speak. So this opens up some interesting possibilities. So that was a breakthrough in my thinking, because I figured out a way around it, so I can actually do, because that was one of the problems. I had to tediously lakes everywhere, and then I had to tweak them afterwards. Now I can create them where I want to and not where I don't want them, which is saves me a lot of work down the line, so to speak, and the terrain gets better. So I can make more higher quality maps and stuff. So that is a good one, so to speak. So yeah, and there will be rules sprinkled in. There will be updates. I did the projections. If you go to my Patreon blog or my website, you can see one article about projections, where you can see what I'm doing in GIS and stuff, projecting global maps or regional maps in different projections, which is really important if you want to have maps that works digitally, or they should work as printed maps and stuff like that. You need to be able to project your maps differently depending on the print size, if you want to print a big map in small pieces, etc., so to speak. So that was one. And also first a look at the core rules, the resolution mechanics and stuff that I'm using for my house ruled 5e, for my house rules. And there will be more exactly, large geography can get tricky. Yep, definitely, especially if you want it both in print and use it online and stuff like that. So therefore I needed to set these standards early on, so I know what to work towards, so to speak. That was the important bit. But there will be more rules articles coming out as well. I don't get as much interest from them, but the feedback I get is great, so to speak. So it's really, really cool. So I got some good feedback on that too. So yeah.
Excellent. And what you got going on?
Yeah, yeah, one of the XT Candy. That's yeah. The one of the benefits of GIS is that now I can custom make maps for different print sizes and scales without too much trouble, so to speak. So we can take the map and say, I want a map of the whole Flanies at 40 by 60 inches. I can make a special map that all the labels and stuff have the right size, and then simply adjust the amount of detail to fit the print version, so to speak. And we can have an online version of the map that has everything on it, and then print versions in different sizes and different area maps at different sizes and stuff. So that makes it possible. And of course, all of my GIS data will be available to download from my website, so you can make your own versions. If you have QGIS and you want to spend some hours learning it, you can make your own versions for print or for digital use and stuff. And down the line, there will be a web server, like a Google Earth, so to speak, that you can actually use in a browser, and you can set the layers you want to see and stuff like that. This opens up a whole range of possibilities that are super cool once we have the information coded in, and that's a heck of a lot of work to actually put it there. That's the big thing, and I'm like 75-80% through, so doing that work, so to speak. So that's the
Yeah,
so
Greg, he's
those
been
are
on the
the
whole
big.
time. He's been on the full 2 hours.
Yeah.
Can you put that 22 that has its turtle
Yes.
southern
Yeah.
animation?
You could. Yeah. You
Yep.
can. Yeah. Because I literally put the whole globe in. It just different
Oh, you mean
levels of
Rob?
quality.
Rob.
So yeah, so there will be that's why I want to have projections, because if you want to print maps that encompass different parts of the whole planet, so to speak, or large part of the planet, you need to start tweaking and thinking about how you want your distortion and stuff like that. And for different print size, you might want to have the map for a letter size, or some person want a 40 by 60 or 24 by 36 and stuff. So yeah. So there's a lot of stuff like that. So this opens up for possibility of much easier to do all this stuff. So once I have it in, next year we'll be setting up a range of different print sizes and versions of the map, so to speak. So and also to show others how you can do it too, because when the data is there, you can just present it in different ways. So there will be like styles ready for 24 by 36 inch printing, or certain scales, like I want to have 1 to 1 million or so on, so you can print maps that has the same, and you can print this part or that part and then start putting them together and stuff like that for atlases and stuff. So and this is the base grunt work of getting that all that possible, so to speak. That's the thing. So we need to get all the data into the system first and georeference it all. And once that is done, then you can start telling it what scale do I want, what size do I want, what do I want the icons to look like and stuff. I'm also going to tweak the icons a little bit because I saw some things that should be done better. So I'm going to change a few of them a little bit. So, but that is easy because I can just make a new definition and that will change all the icons too. And I will also make a small black versions of the icons because that's much better for certain spread maps and stuff like that. So that will be the color version we have now for fully detailed maps. But if you want a small little political map or spread map, then you should have small little simple black icons. So I'm making a series of them too. Yep.
All right, so
Yep.
Wednesday night we're going to do the Underdark with, if we can get Malden on, or we're going to do a tour of Hardby. One of the two. Okay, we'll figure that out as the week goes. Then I'll have a D&D game Thursday night, and then the special events. So let's go over all the special events the rest of the month. This Saturday, Death in the Lort Mills. It'll be Bird, Coco, Minnesota Muse, first time ever playing in the group Nuclear Meat. Her character is Ith Ronell of House Cartris, a specialty priestess of St. Benedor, and Korg, Saturday, May 11th, 9 a.m. Okay? The week after that, trying to get Rob on for a special Saturday morning Gabbin on the 18th, because that's the only one I have a night game, and that is this. The Slav Squad Drink Minimum Wedding crossover event. Ed Greenwood, Eric Marna, Darling, Myriad Bones, Eric Mengi, Tony Winslow, Brill. What could go wrong? We'll find out.
Lots of things. I'm sure you will see to that. Yep.
Yeah. That's cool, Rob. All right. That, and then the 25th to finish the month out. And I'm trying to get Ed Greenwood on for a Gabbin at the end of the month too. The 25th is our third special GM/DM event. Bones is DMing for me and Darling, Myriad, and William Henry Dvorak in her Spaces. It's the system's called Spaces Between, and the adventure is called the Arcade. All I know is I need a deck of cards, so it's a dice. So I'm gonna get I'll probably be dead in the first 10 minutes on this, but it'll be fun, and let's see what bring something new to us. It's gonna be a special time. It's gonna be at noon Eastern. That's what time it works.
Cool.
I set it up for Saturday evening, and then I realized it's my anniversary that day, and then I said to myself, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble. So no, it's not 1E. It's called Spaces Between is the system. Dale, we'll find out. Yes, we'll find out about it. So I'll just run with it and enjoy it. So get thrown out of my house, or I was like, so we moved it to noon. It'll be noon to 3 on that Saturday, and that'll finish up May for all. And we'll have a special event every Saturday in April and May coming off of Gary Con. All right. I think that's enough discussion. Let's see who wins the giveaways. Then we're going to raid into. No, I just got to make sure I can see Phantom NJ finally, because as of 10. Yep, I can see him now. That's great. All right, I couldn't see him, so I couldn't raid into him until I could actually see him. And all right, last call. 2 winners. Let me go get this in. Let's see who wins. Classic D&D reprints. I'll get with you the winners on. I'm going to close it out. Let's see who wins, because we had multiple. It's a decent hype train. So Lex Fire, George.
Awesome.
And DM John. Good. Congrats, both of you.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff. I got Necromancer Games Adventures. I know I have a Marklands. I know I have a Scarlet Brotherhood. I got the original Glossography, first edition, the very first one from 80. I got all sorts of stuff. I got, I think, Monster Manual 2, a Fiend Folio reprint. Yeah, there's so much. And almost every adventure you can think of. So just let me know, and please, if you followed, please stick around. We got so much going on in the community, and I'll be talking about virtual Greyhawk Con starting probably Gabbin next week. This is number 298. We're gonna do something special for the 300th. I'm trying to get it on for number 300. So we're working it, and
Yeah.
let's all right, and
And
that's
XD Candy, I'm just going to put my links in it. If you pop into Twitch on Fridays, I'm working in QGIS almost every Friday on my Twitch when I sit and do mapping. So there you can ask more technical questions, and I will have the program open so you can see how it works and stuff. So yeah.
one last time for the download for Altamira. It is right. Whoops. It is right there, and you can also download the other things on that as well. So it's good to see you all. I'm trying to wait for that ad break.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back. Okay. All right, we're going to go into Fandom NJ, which
you,
is
Rob.
awesome. We're
Yep.
going to have he's having a cool game. Of course, Rob. Thank you. And I'll be talking with you once Alan confirms. We're going to do Saturday morning, 10 a.m., a special Gabbin.
Yep.
Oh my God, that may be the 300.
Yeah, Sam, that's planned. Once I have the map up and all the GIS data and stuff in there, I plan to do tutorials. I also plan to have a plugin so you can hide all the stuff that you don't need to see and stuff like that. So I have a lot of ideas, and we'll see how it's time and difficulty to do them. But there is a whole bunch of cool stuff you can do with GIS data. So I plan to run tutorials on live streams and that might sit and work and do stuff like that. Meaning take this and turn it into whatever, add stuff, or I just want to rename a city or add a road, remove something and stuff like that. So yeah.
See you all Wednesday night. 7 o'clock, either for
Yep.
Hardby or Underdark. We'll see.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night. And it's a XD Candy. It's a completely free
Raid
software.
coming up.
So yep.
Use the raid up. Thanks, Anna.
Oh, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, thank you, XD Candy. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Look at this. 73, 75, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you all Wednesday night. Have a good one.
That's a good number. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And we covered a lot in 2 hours. That was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think we did tangents in different directions, but
That's
we
okay.
kept us fairly